visit the Verizon studio at Citi Field or Mets.com/Verizon. By Cayman Islands this summer, enjoy sun, sea, and a fifth night free only in Cayman. By Honda, start something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer. And by Geico. You can follow every Mets game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Time for tonight's AT&T fan photo of the game. We ask you to tweet or Instagram your photo using hashtag SNYFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown tonight during the game. Gorgeous evening in Chicago, temperature in the mid-60s. Mets and Cubs meeting for the first time this year in the city of the big shoulders. First pitch coming up from Chicago. Second straight start in center field. Wilmer Flores, his second straight start at shortstop as the Mets try to keep it rolling after winning 4 of 5 in Philadelphia. First time they'd won 4 in a 5-game series since 1986 on the road.
And Jake Arrieta, we told you in the open, originally came up with Baltimore back in 2010. Started the season in the minor leagues. This is his 6th start. And he's got control issues. He's kind of borderline with the 10. He works a slow worker. But as Gary said, he's one of their best out here.
And he keeps the ball in the ballpark, which is something this Cubs staff does. The Cubs, playing at Wrigley Field, where the wind's been blowing in a lot, have allowed the fewest home runs of any pitching staff in the major leagues.
That would be 35. And primarily, whenever it's bad in clement weather here in Chicago, folks, you can bet the house that the wind's blowing in. And we'll take a look at the defense. I missed that. That's brought to you by Coors Light. Rizzo's the young star there. Bonifacio, we know all about him from his Marlin days. Starlin Castro's been hitting cleanup a lot this year. That's unusual. John Baker takes over the catching duties because of the Wellington, Castilla been put on the DL.
Will the Cubs be sporting an outfield tonight?
Well, I just was looking at you, marveling at your style, your panache.
So you didn't mention Coughlin, Lake, and
No,
Scherholz.
I slipped them.
Matt Dendecker, who was a defensive whiz yesterday, taking a home run away from Ryan Howard, throwing out a runner at the plate in his first start of the year, gets another start today. Rick Renteria in his first year as the skipper of the Cubs has watched them go 20-34, the worst record in the major leagues. This is a Cubs franchise in transition under Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer. They're awaiting ballpark renovations. They're awaiting some of the best prospects in baseball that they have bubbling down in the minor leagues, but at the big league level right now, it has been a struggle.
Well, their culprit has been their offense. They're 14th in batting average, 12th in runs, 10th in home runs. You know, they're all at the very bottom of the list in a lot of things, and they don't have a lot of team speed. They only got 36 stolen bases on the year, so they've been struggling to score runs, a lot like the Mets, but the Mets seem to have turned it around a little bit.
So here's Dendecker, 1 for 9 in his big league at bat so far this year, and the first pitch of the night from Arrieta in for a strike, and we're underway.
Well, 1 for 9 for Dendecker, and I've always liked his swing. I don't understand why he hasn't had a lot of success in the minor leagues. He strikes out a lot, but I tell you what, he can go get him just as good as Lagares. But one thing you lose, no one has an arm like Lagares. Daniel Murphy, who loves to hit here at Wrigley Field.
1-1 from Arrieta, and he misses away. 2-1. Jake Arrieta, only his 6th start of the year. He began the year on the disabled list. He had some shoulder tightness going into and coming out of spring training, so he didn't make his first appearance for the Cubs this year until May the 3rd. And as a consequence, he doesn't go very deep into games. In fact, he has not thrown more than 94 pitches in any of his starts this year. Behind on the leadoff hitter, Dendecker, 3-1. And Matt swings and laces one up the middle for a leadoff hit. So Dendecker was 1 for 5 yesterday, gets a base hit his first time up today.
Well, I like his little short stroke here, and I just think given an opportunity to play, he's not going to hurt you in the field. So it's a big opportunity for Dendecker with Lagares with the oblique, and Lagares is going to be gone for quite a bit. That's a very slow healing injury, the oblique.
So here's Murphy, who has had a wonderful time hitting at Wrigley Field the last couple of years. He's got 4 home runs in only 42 career at bats at Wrigley, and he takes a strike. And you know, Murph's not a big home run hitter, but he seems to have the knack for finding those bleachers in right field.
Well, the wind is blowing out to left today, in from right, off the lake. I watched batting practice today from up in the booth here, and the ball was flying out of left field and was just getting completely smothered in right.
Of course, the wind plays such a big factor in how this ballpark competes. More of a crosswind tonight. Murphy had a rough series in Philadelphia. He shoots that one, and a beautiful grab by Luis Valbuena for the first out. That was a double ticketed for the left field corner, and Valbuena with a gorgeous play.
Well, he's hugging the line, and you don't. No, he actually wasn't. That's just one heck of a play. And no idea why he's playing in so tight. Murph doesn't bunt. And that is just terrific. Wow.
So that is one hard first out. And now David Wright will come up with a man on. David had 2 hits yesterday in Philadelphia. Big 2-run double in the Mets' 4-run 6th. And David now with 72 hits on the year. That is tops in the National League. Dendecker at first and 1 out. Just getting started here in Chicago. Mets last year won 2 of 3 in their only series here. This is a very odd series for the Mets in Chicago. It's their only trip as usual.
That's a shame.
But the first time they've ever come here and played 3 night games. Dendecker runs. The throw by Baker is not in time, and Dendecker has his first stolen base of the season.
And just to put a little exclamation point on that, this is what Dendecker brings to the plate too. He can steal bases. He's got speed. He's very athletic. If he hits, he's going to have a long career.
Had 4 stolen bases in his brief stint in the major leagues last year, his first of this season. So a runner in scoring position for Wright. Keith mentioned John Baker doing the catching. Baker's had so many shoulder problems over the last few years. Oh, and that goes to the backstop, and that'll get Den Decker to third. And so a stolen base and a wild pitch put Den Decker at third with 1 out.
Well, this was going to be a cutter. Nope, it was a fastball. Wow. That's right out of Bull Durham there, for crying out loud. Little cutter.
He dropped a Nuke LaLoosh on Arrieta. Infield back. 2-0 to David. And he takes it off the plate, a cutter, 3-0. Curtis Granderson waiting on deck. Nice crowd as always at Wrigley, where the Cubs draw no matter what their spot in the standings. And right now that spot is at the bottom. Here's the 3-0. And David swings and fouls it off. You don't see that very often. David Wright generally takes on 3-0.
Well, it's confusing here. 3-0 would be going the other way. Why? Just that's a 3-0. Your manager's giving you the hit sign to try to lose one, and the wind is blowing out to left, not out to right. So that's a little confusing.
And there's ball 4, and David's aboard. So a single, a stolen base, a wild pitch, and a walk. And Arrieta struggling in this first inning, and the Mets will try and take advantage with the Chicago native Curtis Granderson stepping in.
He's got a large group from where was it high school where he did all that, built the stadium, or his college?
University of Illinois Chicago, where he just donated a lot of money to build a new stadium.
I talked to one of the ushers coming in that's from that area and said it's just a fabulous stadium.
Granderson has big numbers against Arrieta, 7 for 20 with 3 home runs, and he loves hitting here at Wrigley. First and third and 1 out, and he takes it high, and Arrieta really struggling.
Well, Granderson has had a lot of success off Arrieta, I guess, in his Baltimore days. 350 lifetime, 7 for 20, double, triple, 3 home runs. And there's the defense. Not a big shift that we've been seeing for Curtis, who really is a dead pool hitter.
Right now the center fielder Lake and the left fielder Coughlin standing in the sunshine. There's still some daylight left.
Is this just one of the most beautiful parks there is? I just love it.
It's a bit antiquated, but it's
the best.
Perfection.
It sure is.
And the curveball in for a strike, 1-1.
Not a lot of foul territory in this ballpark. As a hitter, I love that. Very little foul ground. Fans right on top of you. You can hear them talking and whispering and getting on you. It's fun.
Granderson tries to hold, and he stopped it in time. Tim Timmons, the third base umpire, gives him a pass. 2-1.
Well, we talked about it before the game, how it's almost been an automatic call. You really have to be obvious that you didn't swing not to be rung up today. I think it's a bit unfair.
You see those numbers against Arrieta. Two and 1 to Curtis. And ball 3. So Arrieta, who, as Keith mentioned, had walked a few too many coming in. He only walked 1 in 7 innings in his last start in San Francisco. But he's already gone to 3 3-ball counts and issued a walk to the first 4 batters of the game.
Well, he's not a hard thrower. He's a sinker ball pitcher, and he has to be Larry Fine with his stuff.
Driven to center field. Lake is right there. Tagging at third, Den Decker. He'll come to the plate and scores the first run of the night. So Granderson, it's a bullet. A sacrifice fly, his 27th RBI, and it's 1-0 New York.
And the Mets yet again score another run in the first inning. They've scored the most runs in the first inning this year, and they take the lead again here, which is their wont. There it is, a nice fastball right there. Oh boy, nice to hit.
Wright held at first on the play. So now 2 out, and Chris Young the batter. Young playing left field tonight. Bobby Abreu is not in the lineup tonight, even though over the course of the last 2 weeks he's been the best hitter. Terry Collins just doesn't feel as though he can play Abreu every day at age 40.
Well, you would probably have Den Decker on the bench. I'd rather have Abreu on the bench. And with the win, there's the runs right there. The 40th run scored in the first inning for the Mets.
Young drives one out to left, but that's where Coughlin is, and that retires the side. So the Mets get one. A couple of bullets that were caught. Arrieta fortunate it was only one. Zach Wheeler will take that run to the mound. Starting lineup. Anthony Rizzo, the big bat in the Cubs lineup, is in the 3-hole ahead of Starlin Castro. The Cubs second to last in batting average in the National League.
There's young Zach coming off his best start of the year. He's had 2 terrific starts. His last 2 times out, gone 13 innings and only given up 3 earned runs. And we know the big strikeouts he had the last time out was the best I saw him throw, the 9 Ks in 6 1/3 at Philly.
Emilio Bonifacio, who's been a utility guy who plays every day. He's played center field, he's played third base, he's playing second base tonight. They have the Gold Glover Darwin Barney, who's completely lost his job because he hasn't hit. Bonifacio hits one out for Murphy, and he gets the speedy Bonifacio for the first out.
And we'll take a look at the Lexus Metropolitan defense, and we'll get the outfield in this time. Chris Young, of course, getting the start with Den Decker in center field now with Lagares on the DL. Den Decker's going to get a lot of playing time in center field. Infield pretty much the same. Flores with that big day, he earned himself another night of starting at shortstop. And d'Arnaud, interesting to see. We'll watch him work with Wheeler. Really called aggressively inside last time, but Wheeler was out there. And that was, I believe, was d'Arnaud's first or second game back off the DL.
First game, yeah. Here's Junior Lake hitting second in the order, playing center field tonight. He's been mostly a left fielder for the Cubs. Lake just 24 years old. Shows some promise at 284 as a rookie last year, but he strikes out a ton.
I'll say, how about 160 at bats, folks? Now don't just calm yourself. 160 at bats, 60 strikeouts. That would be hard for me to stay calm.
It's 38% of his at bats.
Wow.
Is that a problem for you?
Oh.
Reached for, and Wheeler plays the comebacker. So he got him reaching for the slider for the second out. So 2 up, 2 ground balls for Wheeler. So a little different start for Zach this time. He had the 6 strikeouts in the first 2 innings in Philadelphia. Now we'll face the big bat in the Chicago corner, Anthony Rizzo.
Well, we'll see how he works the left-handers, Gary. Remember, this is the predominantly left-hand lineup now with Bonifacio switch hitting, batting left. You got Rizzo, Valbueno, Shearholz, Coghlan, and Baker, all left-hand hitters. And remember, he pounded inside to those Phillies 5 days ago.
And had tremendous success. He struck out Howard 3 times, struck out Utley twice. Rizzo still just 24 years old, and he is blossoming into a big piece of the Cubs batting order for the long term. 23 home runs last year, but he's a better player this year. On base percentage much higher. He's drawn a lot of walks as they've pitched around him a lot, with the weakness of the Cubs batting order around him. And the fastball fouled away, 1-2.
I believe he's the first Cub to lead his team in home runs and RBI since Ron Santo did it back in, I believe, 1963.
First player 24 or younger.
Yep, 24. Yep, right.
Yeah, that young to lead him in home runs and RBI. On the inside corner, Wheeler picks off that inside edge, just as Keith said. 1-2-3 inning for Wheeler to start his night. Mets with the early advantage as they toss some beanbags on Waveland Avenue. 1-0 Mets after 1. Every player should be accorded the privilege of at least one, what did it say? Season with the Chicago Cubs.
Really?
God's own sunshine. Well, except if you play night games. Lucas Duda leading off the second inning. Mets with a 1-0 lead, and Duda hits it over the shift and into right field, a base hit. So behind the short fielder and in front of the regular right fielder.
Nice little chip. This is a nice line drive, though. Nicely done. Little cutter in. Lucas is starting to swing the bat. A little more authority. That home run to the opposite field in Philly, Garrett, it was impressive. He's become such a dead pull hitter. And here's yesterday's star, Mr. Flores, the Grand Slam kid.
Well, Wilmer came into yesterday with 1 run batted in for the year. He had 6 yesterday, and he fouls off the fastball from Arrieta.
Oh, there's been some first ball fastball swinging here in this ball club lately.
Well, the Mets have won 6 of their last 7 games.
Do you like that Cub home uniform? I don't. I know it's tradition, but I'm not big on it.
It's really not my favorite. It's not Dodgers or the Cardinals.
I like their road uniform better, with Chicago written across it and the red numbers.
I didn't like it when they wore the powder blues. I was not.
No, they were
partial to.
Only the Cardinals look good in the powder blue.
Nah, only the Royals look good in the power blues.
I beg to differ.
That's okay. We're allowed to disagree. 1-1 to Flores, and there's a strike. 1-2. Travis d'Arnaud waiting on deck. We got our first seagull of the day, parked in front of the third baseman Valbuena. He just poked it and got it to fly away.
It's a pigeon.
Well, it's the same breed.
No.
Here's the 1-2. Poke to the right side, and that's going to go through for a base hit. So Flores didn't hit it hard, but found the right spot beyond the reach of Bonifacio, and the Mets have the first 2 men on.
Well, Flores on the ball away has been kind of soft stroking it a little bit. If punching would be the word in our day. And that just gets by Bonifacio. That's right. What kind of numbers he got on Emilio? Jeez.
Offensive guard. So here's d'Arnaud. Well, d'Arnaud the last 2 days was intentionally walked 4 times. What is this world coming to?
Well, it's the 8th hitter. That's what it's coming to.
Yeah, but come on. Here they can't intentionally walk him. First base not open. And he takes a strike. Travis just 6 hits in his last 42 at bats. Came back from the concussion last Thursday in Philadelphia. Arrieta getting a lot of trouble thrown his way early in this game. Gave up some hard hit balls in the first inning, a couple of which turned into outs. He's given up a couple of soft hit balls in this inning that have turned into hits. So far his ledger's just about even. Zach Wheeler waiting on deck. Duda at second, Flores at first, and nobody out, and d'Arnaud pops one foul.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Arrieta's living right. He has made in this inning, 1 inning plus, he has made so many pitches down Broadway, down the pipe, whatever you want to say, to describe pitches right down the pipe.
Right there, down Broadway, in the middle of the plate. Middle. Popped up. Infield fly rule will be called. Batter's out. And Rizzo snags it. 1 away. So d'Arnaud is retired. 1 out. Here's Wheeler.
Wheeler will be up to bunt, of course. You know what, as a player, folks, Gare, when you played here in this park being 100 years old and the history, and you're in the same clubhouse, and of these players that have passed through here and played through here, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth in the World Series, for crying out loud, Lou Gehrig. And there's the defense for the bunt, very aggressively into the corners.
Wheeler 1 for 17 with 3 sacrifices. Rizzo really coming in hard from first, and the breaking ball in the dirt. Well, you never called your shot in this ballpark, did you?
I never called my shots. No. Babe used to tip his hat right when he ran around the ball. I wouldn't dare do that. Well, Babe was a big guy.
Well, it's amazing how the ethic changes, right? If somebody tipped their hat running around the bases in your day, they probably get drilled.
Or run backwards.
Yeah, like Jimmy Pearsall. Push toward third, perfectly done by Wheeler. Makes the third baseman handle it, just the way they draw it up on the chalkboard. 5-4 on the sacrifice, moving runners to second and third.
Well, when you have a first baseman so aggressively in as Rizzo was, you have to get it down to third base line, and that is beautifully executed. I hate that word. That seems to be the word du jour. I didn't execute today. Oh, okay. Well, execute then.
He executed. So there you go. Two in scoring position for Dendecker, who banged a single up the middle, stole a base, and scored the only run of this game. Duda now at third, Flores at second with 2 down. And they've got some very quick scouting reports on Dendecker. They're shifting the shortstop, Castro, almost behind second base against Matt. I mean, this is a guy who's had 10 at-bats in the big leagues this year.
They've been scouting in AAA, I'm sure, but...
Well, he's had 2 base hits in the last 2 days. Both have been up the middle. Ball and a strike to Dendecker.
See, to me, if you're going to do that on the left side of the infield with Castro, the shortstop, up the middle, then you've got to get Villanueva in the hole more. Move him off the line. And move him back. He's not going to bunt.
Now with second and third and 2 out. 1-1 from Arrieta. And he gets the letter high strike. 1-2. Matt Dendecker being given an opportunity here with the injury to Juan Lagares, and you know the clock's running on Matt. He's 26 years old.
Yeah, well, 26 still. You know, it's not like you're 28. You're beginning of your prime. 26.
Well, he goes to the left side, but Valbuena able to range wide and get it, and he throws out Dendecker to end the inning. So Arrieta gets through trouble in the second. Still 1-0 to York. Lights were installed in 1988. Before then, it was all-day baseball here at Wrigley, the last big league park to get lights.
I believe it was Bill Veck's idea to grow the ivy, which was a brilliant idea.
Starlin Castro leads off the home second.
And I've been here in April when just the vines are there, and you can get hurt. The outfielder out there on that brick.
Castro just got a piece of that, and it's 0-2. Starlin Castro having himself a bit of a revitalized season. You see the brick. Castro, since 2011, has more hits than any major league shortstop, and by a wide margin. But he's an interesting player, bit of an enigma.
He's very talented, but unbridled.
That's a good word.
Would be a kind word.
He tends to lose focus sometimes, especially out in the field on the bases.
Yep.
but he plays every day. 162 games a couple of years ago, 161 last year.
Well, they thought they had the corner, the keystone up the middle for a long time with Darwin, Barney, and Castro. But Barney just has not hit. He could pick it with the best of them at second base, but he's on the interstate.
Well, the plan for their middle infield is Castro and Javier Baez, who is their top prospect right now in AAA and will probably be here sometime this year. Got him. Good slider by Wheeler to strike out Castro for his second of the night.
Yep, little cutter. Didn't really cut at all. Just his butt flying, and his heart wasn't in that swing.
You know, we saw that in Philadelphia, that slider that, you know, just moves a tiny bit, be effective for Zach.
Against the left-handers, he was backdooring him on the outside corner. Doesn't need to break that much. As long as it starts 3 inches outside, hitter tends to want to quit on it, and then it breaks into the last minute for a strike.
Here's Luis Valbuena. Valbuena's played both second and third for the Cubs this year. Has the high on base percentage, 384.
Well, as a team, the Cubs do not have an impressive on base percentage, under 300.
Second from the bottom in the league. So really, Rizzo and Valbuena are the only two guys in the lineup who get on at a really nice rate.
Now, I don't know if it's just we got a different ballpark or a different camera angle, but right now it looks like Wheeler doesn't have the great fastball he had in Philadelphia tonight early. He's throwing hard, but I mean, he was just burning up the telephone wire in Philadelphia. Let me tell you, I was just some tremendous smoke he was throwing there.
There was so much to like about Wheeler's outing against the Phillies. Not the least of which was he did not walk a batter, and walks have been such a big part of his season so far.
Well, the average is 3.88 walks per 9 innings. That's 9th in the National League, but he's also almost 9 strikeouts per 9. He's a strikeout guy.
So he had no walks and 9 strikeouts in that start against Philadelphia. 2-2 to Valbuena, and he misses with that. Full count. Nate Scherholtz, another left-hand batter, waiting on deck.
I just love it here. Gosh, what a park.
Bounce foul down past Eric Hinsky, the new Cubs first base coach. He tends to be a good luck charm, Hinsky.
That's right.
Team's won the World Series 3 years in a row. This Hinsky most recently played, I guess, for the Braves, right?
Left-handed power hitter off the bench.
That's Gary Jones, the third base coach for the Cubs. 3-2 from Wheeler, and Valbuena bounces another one foul.
I don't like the running fastball away from Valbuena. I'd like to see, he's a low ball hitter, I can tell by his swing. Zach can throw that little four-seamer up top, get some giddy up on it upstairs, and he won't be able to handle it. A lot of pine tar in that bat.
Too much?
Oh, whatever your preference is, I have no problem. That's a lot.
Depends if Tim McClellan's your home plate umpire.
I have never seen that much pine tar in a bat from top to bottom. I wonder if that's tape in the bottom. Wow.
8th pitch of the at-bat to Valbuena. He fouls it back.
Whatever happened to the rule where you couldn't have the pine tar above the label, remember?
Well, that's why Tim McClellan overruled George Brett's home run.
I saw Ted Simmons lose a home run in San Diego because of that.
Now, was that call challenged the way Brett's was?
No, but Simmons got thrown out of the game. He got hot. Lost a tater.
But they subsequently changed the rule that, you know, they would warn you not to use the bat rather than take a home run away. And they had to replay the end of that game. Well, Valbuena making Wheeler work, 9 pitches deep and still going.
What gets the pine tar off the bat, because over a course of time the pine tar is going to cake up on the bat, and you get too much, and you don't want too much where you hold your hands, and simple rubbing alcohol with a towel takes it right off.
Well, why would you want all that pine tar there in the first place? Yeah, I understand. So you put it on your hands. Why do you need it in the middle of the bat?
Reach up. it looks good too. Looks like a war club.
So it's all about styling.
No, it's not styling.
Right,
you want the games to speed up. You don't want the batter going back to the on-deck circle.
So you want easily accessible pine tar. You could put it on your neck like Michael Pineda. 10th pitch of the at-bat coming to Valbuena. And he hits one in the air to right center pretty deep. Back goes Granderson onto the track.
Not today.
He'll have room. Wind blowing from right to left held that ball up, and that's the second out.
And more, the wind's blowing out to the right field today. That's a bomb. So there's no money in the air today unless you go to left, as you can see the flags right there.
So by far the best contact a Cub has made so far. 2 out and nobody on for Shearholtz, the former Giant and Philly. Hitting just .212 on the year. He's been playing most of the right field for Chicago. First pitch ball that Wheeler has thrown. Now the Cubs sitting on the bottom of the National League Central. The Mets will see the other end of the division when they get home next week. They've got the Brewers coming to town. Brewers 12 games over 500. You can see the standings on the flags.
Well, if there was the old days and you just had the no divisions, the Cubs would be in last place. They have the worst record in baseball, so they're obviously the National League. 20-34, 14 under.
And 13 games out on the 3rd of June. Swing and a miss, 2-1. So that leads to a lot of speculation about the Cubs starting to unload some of their players.
Well, they got some young talent in the minor leagues ready to come up.
You see the standings in the NL Central. The Brewers have maintained that lead. Their bats have really picked up of late. That's hooked down the right field line. Foul. The Brewers have gotten surprisingly good pitching all year. Guys like Kyle Loesch, but the Willie Peraltas and the Marco Estradas. Gallardo hasn't even pitched very well. He's their ace. But their bats have really picked up lately.
There's got to be concern for Gallardo, too, because he did not have a very good year last year.
Two out and nobody on. 2-2 to Nate Shearholtz.
Love the scoreboard. So did Leo DeRocher.
Explain.
Well, wasn't Leo the manager when they claimed that the guy was out there, the guy that was putting the numbers, or they had a guy up there with the glasses that was relaying the signs?
That's not the guy.
No,
that's the scoreboard operator. Of course, the out of town scoreboard is still hand operated.
When Leo was manager, it was in the late '69, right?
Well, they blew a big lead against the Mets in '69. That's hit to left, a base hit for Shearholtz. Right, playing well off the line, and Shearholtz hit it through the vacated spot. First base runner of the night for Chicago. So a 2-out single, and now Chris Coghlan, the former National League Rookie of the Year. It's been 5 years since Coghlan won that Rookie of the Year with the Marlins, and nothing has gone right since.
No, it's another Joe Charbonneau.
Super Joe.
Yep. I hate to do that. It's kind of a terrible.
Well, even if Coghlan's career never really revives again, or even if it does, he'll never be able to do what Joe Charbonneau did, and probably still can do to this day. He could open a beer bottle with his eye socket.
I tried to do it once, and it's stupidity.
Did it work?
No, I realized I was hopeless. And I valued my teeth a little better.
No, not his teeth. With his eye socket.
Oh, his eye. Well, no, I didn't do that.
He put the beer bottle in his eye socket, turned it, and opened beer bottles that way.
What is he? Was it the Terminator?
Don't know. it's an odd skill to have. Maybe it cost him the rest of his career after that great rookie season for Super Joe. 1-1 to Coghlan. Well, maybe a new piece of scenery will help Chris Coghlan, who came to the Cubs this year as a free agent, was in the minor leagues until a month ago. He has struggled so far, just 5 hits and 36 at bats. Shearholtz at first and 2 out, and Coghlan leans back 2-1.
Well, you know what? If Coghlan never has a year like he had his rookie year, and there'll be a day when he's out of the game, he can always say, you know what? I was National League Rookie of the Year. Not a lot of guys can lay claim to that.
Popped it up. Not much foul ground, but right to the railing to grab it. Side retired. So Wheeler survives his first base runner of the night. Sailboat still trekking out of Long Lake, Michigan. 1-0 Mets after 2. And so we figured we'd show you some of the old days. We told you about the Federal League moving in here first in 1914.
Look at the old
players from the Chicago Federal League team.
Ivy
going up in the 30s, and the bleachers and the scoreboard being built.
Put a lot of people to work to build that stadium.
It was Waveland Avenue back in the day. Well, the scoreboard really hasn't changed much since they put it up back in the 30s.
Sweet.
They did add the electronics in the middle of the scoreboard, the ball strike, batter numbers. The rest of it, though, is still hand operated as it always was. Daniel Murphy leading off in the 3rd inning. Murphy hit a bullet to third base, and Valbuena made a terrific catch in the 1st.
And Valbuena playing in. Now he's going to move back with 2 strikes, but I have no comprende. There he's moving back now, but he likes to play on the cut of that grass.
Two from Arrieta, and it's too high. By the way, Murph has a big day coming up on Monday. He's going to the White House. You remember that whole flap about him taking time off when his child was born earlier this year, and there's a conference about fathers and all that, and Murph's going to be part of that on Monday, so a nice honor for him. Hit toward the hole. Castro on the backhand. Can't come up with it cleanly. And Murphy has an infield hit.
Well, base hit, it's ruled. And just didn't field it cleanly. Get the ball and the cut of that grass gets in the way. It could be distracting. And he just didn't backhand it at all. He's got a good arm, and he makes that play cleanly. He can throw out Murph.
Like he might have hurt his bare hand. That deflection. So the Mets have a leadoff base runner for the third straight inning. And now David Wright, who drew a walk his first time up. Jake Arrieta has had trouble in every inning to contend with. That's now with 4 hits. And Wright takes a knee-high strike. And as we mentioned, Arrieta has trouble working deep into games. So in a game like this where he's throwing a lot of pitches early, it means perhaps an early call for the Cubs bullpen, which has been one of their greatest strengths. Ball and a strike to Wright. In a year where little has gone right for Chicago, their bullpen has been an asset. But you don't want to get there too soon. Murphy at first and nobody out. Granderson waiting on deck. Cutter from Arrieta, 1-2.
Good one to hit, and David under it. Right there on a tee.
And that one's off the plate, 2-2. Jake Arrieta, 28 years old. Drafted by the Orioles in the 5th round in 07, coming out of TCU. Texas guy through and through. Came to the Cubs last year in a midseason trade. It was one of those shedding a player who other teams saw as a piece for a stretch drive. Scott Feldman winning that deal to Baltimore. Arrieta may be in that kind of deal this year. And Wright lays off, full count.
Send him.
That is the 5th 3-ball count already for Arrieta among the first 12 batters he's faced. Not a formula for success. So let's see if Murph is sent here. 3-2 and nobody out. And Wright takes outside, ball 4. Murph was not running, but Wright walks for the second time. And for the second straight inning, the Mets get the first 2 aboard. So now Granderson has driven in the only run of this game at a line drive sacrifice fly to center field his first time up. It has been a struggle for Granderson. I think that would not be overstating things. Looked like he had come alive after the series in the Bronx. Couldn't sustain it. He's just 3 for his last 33. Batting average right at 200 for the season. And a changeup to start him off.
Well, he's very corkscrewed in his stance. Also tilts his head. Got to keep those eyes parallel to the ground. And Arrieta is just going to the breaking ball. Now Wright just got a steady diet. Now Granderson.
Oh, and 2 to Curtis. And he takes it high. Chris Young waiting on deck. Now the 1-2. And that's taken low. 2-2.
He likes to go 3-2 with everybody. He's like Rick Rhoden.
He'll be out of there in the 4th inning if that's what happens.
At least Rick Rhoden had a purpose. He knew exactly what he was doing. Rick Rhoden, we used to call him 3-2 Rhoden.
And then he could come to the plate and hit a 3-run homer.
He could hit.
And And Granderson lays off the curve, and it's 3-2. So third straight 3-2 count to start this inning for Arrieta. Gave up the infield hit to Murphy, the walk to right. Now he's 3-2 to Granderson.
He's on borrowed time here. This is really playing with fire.
Mets faced him once before when he was in an Orioles uniform 2 years ago at Citi Field and beat him. Gave up 4 runs in 7 innings in that game. But there are very few Mets in the lineup tonight who've ever faced him. Granderson is one of them. 3-2 to Curtis, and he fouls it off. Queens' own 50 Cent is coming to Citi Field for a concert after the Mets-Padres game Saturday, June 14th as part of the Mets concert series presented by Dwayne Reed. Catch 50 Cent live in concert June 14th. Visit Mets.com/concerts. 2 on and nobody out. 3-2 coming to Granderson, and he drives one into right center field for a base hit. Murphy got a late start. He'll go to third and be held up there. Murph just didn't get a good read on that ball. Otherwise, he would have scored easily.
Poor read.
Bases loaded and nobody out.
He's got to score. There's no way this ball is going to be caught by anybody. Getting rid of my RBI there, and if a guy throws home, could be first to third. Right on an overthrow, the cutoff man could be first to third.
Chris Bosio, the pitching coach, heading out to the mound to talk to Arrieta, who has not been able to settle into any sort of groove tonight. First inning, he was fortunate to survive with only 1 run scoring. The Mets hit some bullets that were caught. Second inning, he put the first 2 men on and was able to fight his way out of it. Now he's got a bases loaded, nobody out jam to contend with.
Well, he's not throwing hard. He's not a hard thrower. He hasn't got a sharp breaking ball. He's got to be pinpoint control, and that's why he's going 3-2.
So now it's Chris Young with the bases loaded. Now, going into yesterday, the Mets were 6 for 50 this year with the bases loaded. But they had a big day with the bases loaded yesterday. They had 3 hits, including 2 for Wilmer Flores, a 2-run double and a grand slam. So perhaps the Mets have shed their bases loaded ineptitude.
Well, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. They're on the road where they score 5.11 runs per game, and that is number 1 in the National League.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Isn't it?
And quickly it's 0-2 to Young. It's amazing, isn't it? Perhaps the worst home offense in the league and perhaps the best road offense in the league.
They are the only team that scores more runs on the road is Oakland, of all teams.
Oakland's outscoring everybody. They give up the fewest runs and they score the most. Biggest run differential in baseball. 0-2 to Young with the bases loaded. And Chris takes off the plate.
Boy.
Close pitch, 1-2.
Squeezing him. Who's on? Tim Welke. He doesn't call the outside corner.
No, Baker was set up off the plate.
That is tin cup, as Ronnie would say.
Since when do you take the pitcher's side? 1-2 from Arrieta. Hit down to first, grabbed by Rizzo. He's going to fire home, get the force there. A little indecision on Rizzo's part. He was thinking about second. Could have turned 2, but opts to come home and get the lead runner at just the 1.
Well, Rizzo's got a nice glove. That was not an easy play. And I know what he's thinking there. You know, if you got a team that's struggling at scoring runs, I would be inclined to get the double play to second base, go down 2-0.
Well, he had an easy double play once he snagged that grounder had he gone to second.
Correct.
So now it's Duda with 1 out and the base is still full. Right now at third, Granderson at second, and Young at first.
Well, Mets can't let this guy off the hook.
Yeah, breaking ball at his feet for ball 1.
And that's a beautiful thing with the bases loaded. When you got a pitcher out there, it's given up 2 base hits and a walk. It's gone 3-2 on everybody. The only out he's got is a bullet, and he misses with a curveball first pitch. Boy, are you locked in for a fastball right now or what?
Dude has driven in a run in 4 straight games and a big chance for 1 here or more. Ball and a strike to Lucas. Duda had a base hit to right field his first time up. The signs have all been pointing up for Lucas over this last 10 days.
Lucas is one of the top hitters in the National League, coming into the game, I believe, 315 on the road.
And he takes the curve for a strike, 1-2.
Backdoor curve, plenty of plate. Lucas gets out in front of the breaking stuff. He just has got to wait a little bit longer.
So Arrieta ahead in the count. 1-2. Off the fist, a little pop up for Castro. Infield fly invoked, 2 out.
Wow.
So Arrieta, who faced a bases loaded, nobody out jam, is now 2/3 of the way free.
Well, they got jammed here. This is supposed to be a fastball up and out of the strike zone. And he puts it in a perfect spot. That's a strike up and in. It ties up Lucas.
Well, now it's left to Wilmer Flores, and he had quite a day with the bases loaded yesterday. A 2-run double and a grand slam. And now he's got the bases full again. What can he do for an encore? Wilmer had a base hit that snuck through the right side his first time up. He fouls back the first pitch cutter, 0-1. So Arrieta finding trouble again here in the third and may find an escape hatch.
It's his middle name, Trouble. I don't mean pool.
Well, capital T does rhyme with B. Right back to Arrieta, side retired. Jake Arrieta living right. Mets had the bases loaded and nobody out, and they do not score. Arrieta's glove in just the right place to make that grab and retire Flores. When we come back, Kevin Burkhardt gives us a story about Lou Gehrig at Wrigley Field. Mets probably should have about 7 runs by now, but they're only up 1-0. We've been talking about the history of Wrigley Field in the year where they're celebrating the 100th anniversary of this venerable ballpark, and for a very interesting Wrigley Field story, let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
Yeah, we're going to take it back to 1920. It was Commerce High School of New York, taking on Lane Technical High School here in Chicago. They had a series here for about 6 years where they had the best high school in New York take on the best high school in Chicago, and they rotated cities each year. Kind of a neat little thing. Again, didn't last for that long. Anyway, why was this important back in 1920? Because on Commerce High School. It was a fellow by the name of Lou Gehrig. So these teams played. And at that time, Lou had already garnered the nickname Baby Ruth for his power that he had shown, right? So here he comes to the plate. He'd had pretty much a quiet day. Steps to the plate in the 9th inning with Commerce up 8-6. And he proceeds to knock a grand slam out of the park, out to right field. Now, at that time, there were no bleachers. It was just a wall. But this shot bounced over the street and bounced up onto a porch that was over there across the street. That, according to Ed Hartig, who's a Wrigley historian who shared this story with me today. So it's really unbelievable. Gehrig showing his power at age 17 in this game that the high school from New York went on to win by a count of 12-8. And how about this? I got a hold of the article from the Chicago Tribune and the box score from that game. Gary and Keith, there were 10,000 people here. This was no small deal. It was a big deal. A Lane Technical was right down the road, so it was a big event. But I love the writing in the Tribune. Let me read it to you. It said of the home run, quote, "It was a blow of Mitch any big leaguer would have been proud, and was walloped by a boy who hadn't yet started to shave." Pretty cool.
Even better that they misspelled his name in the headline.
Yeah, you love that, right?
How about that?
And look, he's a monster back in high school. Look at his legs. Gehrig was so strong.
Bounced down to third off the bat of John Baker, and Wright takes his time and throws him out. By the way, he turned out to be a pretty good college player too, I might parenthetically add, up on Morningside Heights. Columbia Lion, you know.
Oh. True.
At that time, Columbia played its baseball games on campus, and he broke more than a few windows in the journalism building, did Mr. Gehrig.
Ah. So he would have been before the Fordham Flash. Frankie Frisch.
I don't know. Were they
Frisch,
not?
Maybe the same time.
Maybe contemporaries. Jake Arrieta, the pitcher, batting 5 for 33 in his career. Spent most of his career in the American League. A ball and a strike to Arrieta. Well, Gehrig would later hit 2 World Series home runs in this park. So a high school home run in 1920, and then in 1932, 2 home runs in the World Series at Wrigley.
Think how he felt going back to where he played his championship high school game and then be there in a Yankee uniform playing the Cubbies. There you go.
Wheeler with a couple of sliders dispenses with Arrieta. That's his 3rd strikeout of the night. Zach making it look easy, much as he did in his last start. Well, there he is as a Lion. I kidded you not.
Look at the sloping shoulders. That is a strong individual.
He was a big boy.
Yes.
Of course, Columbia continued its baseball success this year, made it to the NCAA tournament.
Did you like the movie with Gary Cooper? Did you enjoy that?
It was good.
It was good.
It wasn't great.
How about the one with William Bendix as the
Babe
Babe?
Ruth, that was terrible. Emilio Bonifacio batting with 2 out.
One of the best baseball movies, I thought, that really should be a remake, because Tony Perkins was just so unathletic.
Fear Strikes Out.
Fear Strikes Out is just such a compelling story, and Carl Malden as the father.
The Jimmy Pearsall story.
That drove his son to
madness.
A nervous breakdown. And that was just a really compelling movie.
Of course, Jimmy Pearsall was a big figure in this town. He was the radio voice of the White Sox with Harry Carey for years, which was a must listen. Or as Harry would say to Jimmy on the air, Jimmy would say to Harry, "You're crazy, Harry," and Harry would say, "Well, you got the papers to prove it." They were quite the team. Curveball from Wheeler, misses 3-1.
That just goes. That was around the 70s, and when Bill Veeck was the owner of the White Sox, and we'd play day games. There was no night games here, and before I went out to dinner, I'd watch the first 3 innings of the White Sox games. Because
two high ball 4 Bonifacio's on.
You just didn't know what would come out of their mouths. I mean, it was unbelievable. I don't know how the players, at different time when the players had to swallow what came. They were brutal.
Yeah. Well, the players didn't like it. I think that's what eventually cost Harry his spot with the White Sox. And he came over to the Cubs, and he became a greater legend through the superstation WGN.
But the players called him out. He had to have a meeting in the Cubs clubhouse, and they let him have it, from my understanding. And then he kind of loosened up a little bit and eased off. Ken Boyer did not like him, despised him because of what Harry Carey did to him. And Jack Buck told me that story, and Ken Boyer. And Jack Buck said that they had a running feud with Ken Boyer
when he was in St. Louis.
Yes. And Jack said it was the first time he was in the booth. He was Harry's sidekick. No TV, just radio. Bases loaded. Harry, 1-run game. Ken Boyer. Boyer hit a line drive to left field. He goes, "There is a shallow fly ball to left field." And we'll be back for the recap. Did you ever do that to a player?
Why would you? I mean, you're saying he did it on purpose?
Yes, of course he did. Absolutely. Not nice.
Here we play it straight down the middle.
Yeah, of course. We've got the big brother watching. We're on TV.
Junior Lake hit a comebacker his first time up. Bonifacio a base stealer at first, and the slider misses outside. 1-1.
Well,
Harry Carey began his big league broadcasting career in St. Louis, where he was a legend there. And then after a brief stint in Oakland, he came to Chicago first with the Cubs, with the White Sox, and then with the Cubs. And he was here at just the right time as Bonifacio runs and Lake hits it out to right field. The superstation WGN was just being blasted all over the country on cable, and Harry became a phenomenon nationally as well as locally. 3 in the books now at Wrigley Field. Wheeler in command, 1-0. Fourth. This game, they've had 5 hits. They've drawn 2 walks. They've scored 1 run. Last inning, they had the bases loaded, nobody out, and did not score. which has been something of a trend that they thought they had broken yesterday. No such luck. d'Arnaud, Wheeler, and Dendecker in the fourth. Of course, the way Wheeler's going, 1 run might be enough. He's looked superb again tonight.
He looks very poised, Wheeler.
d'Arnaud popped up his first time up, and he drills this one through the hole. And for the 4th straight inning, the Mets have a leadoff hit. Oh, you're talking about Harry Carey. Here's a little taste of Harry.
Long drive, way back. It might be. It could be. It is. Holy cow! High pop fly, Sanchez. He never dropped one of those in his life.
He just did.
He did. Holy cow! How about that? I'm trying to tell you for 15 years. You take it too seriously. It's only a game. Nobody cares. It doesn't affect the nation.
Well, that's a good point, Harry.
Wheeler has his second sacrifice of the night, moving d'Arnaud up. Well,
I never thought of it that way.
how about poor Steve Stone?
Oh,
All those years working with Harry, and now he's working with Hawk Harrelson. He's had two of the most unique figures in television sports to sit alongside.
well, Steve was a long-time TV announcer here for the Cubs when I played. 20-game winner with Baltimore. Came up with the Giants, if you recall.
Here's Dendecker, 1 for 2, singled and scored the only run of this game in the first. A good cutter by Arrieta to get ahead 0-1.
Harry always treated me well. I actually ran into him. Remember the? You ever been in the pump room here?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, Harry had his own stool there at the bar.
And Arrieta quickly ahead 0-2 on Dendecker. Daniel Murphy waiting on deck. Arrieta might as well just have ditched his windup tonight and just started pitching from the stretch like a relief pitcher. He's been in his stretch almost the entire game. 71 pitches, 54 from the stretch. That's hard to do.
It's the Wichita lineman. That's what he is. Like on a tightrope here.
Wichita lineman, like Glenn Campbell's Wichita lineman?
Yeah, he's like on a high wire.
Hope he doesn't get electrocuted.
Seriously.
Here's the 1-2. And Dendecker is down on strikes. Foul tip held by Baker. That's the first strikeout of the night for Arrieta.
Not a strike. Slider. Down and in.
So 2 out. Mets have left 6 runners on base in the first 3 innings. 4 of the 6 in scoring position. They've got another in scoring position here in the 4th. Murphy's hit 2 balls to the left side, a bullet that was caught, and a ground ball that trickled off Castro's body for an infield hit. And Murphy takes a strike.
Murph's a chatterbox with the umpires.
Always checking.
Ted Williams Jr.
And Murphy dribbles 1 foul, and Arrieta again ahead 0-2. Keith, watch the center fielder Junior Lake when he sets up. Watch how he sets his feet. He's facing the left field line.
Interesting.
Remember Greg Luzinski used to do something like that.
You're right.
I mean, what's he supposed to do if a ball's hit to right center?
I understand. Big gap in left center field. Given the line to Murph, the right field line, I think it's a little bit too extreme. I'd just gap Murph. He's a gap-to-gap hitter.
One, 2 from Arrieta. This is away.
All the pronounced shifts in today's game. Murph is one of the hitters that you can't do that to. He hits the ball all over the field. You pretty much got to take the gaps away from him. I always felt the ball down the line's a double anyway, so take the gaps away.
I'm surprised how much at the shortstop hole they give him.
Yep.
2-2. Well, Murph gets more hits to left field than any left-hand hitter in the game.
Those are outfield hits too, so not ground balls.
Darno at second and 2 out. 2-2 coming to Murphy. Lifted to left center. He was facing the right way, was Lake, to come over and get that one to retire the side. Perfectly played. 4 in the books. 1-0 New York. Ticket from the World Series of 1938. $6.60 for your box seat.
So that price would probably be around what, $120, $115 today.
So it would seem as though that was a bargain.
That was back when the country was still on the gold standard.
Anthony Rizzo leads off for the Cubs in the home 4th inning. Rizzo took a call third strike his first time up and takes a fastball strike from Wheeler. Wheeler has struck out 3, walked 1, allowed just 1 single over the first 3 innings. His experience quite dramatically different than his mound opponent Jake Arrieta, who has been in trouble every step of the way. Ball and a strike to Rizzo. Starlin Castro and Luis Valbuena to follow. See that odd lighting on Wheeler's face. This park, like Turner Field in Atlanta, only has lights in foul territory. There are no lights in the outfield. Of course, the lights here were retrofitted back in 1988. So the lighting is a little different than it is in most big league parks. Ripped down the right field line, foul. 2-2 to Rizzo. Some of the action on the rooftops across the street. And a fastball beats Rizzo for the first out of the inning. 4 strikeouts now for Wheeler. Second time he's gotten Rizzo.
Makes him look bad here. Fastball away. Look at the fanny flying out. No rotation of the hips. Wasn't a pretty swing.
Starlin Castro coming up. Let's check in with Kevin.
Oh, we saw Daniel Murphy make the last out of the last inning. And, you know, we've been talking about it, obviously, the 100-year anniversary of Wrigley. And we will all night here, Gary and Keith. But what about the players? Are they coming here, and is there something special to them? Is there a romantic part about this? Well, I asked Daniel Murphy that, and he's a baseball rat. He's been his whole life. He said, you know, the one thing that's neat about here is when we get here, we get off the bus and we walk through the stadiums. You know, a lot of the stadiums, you get off underneath in the bowels of the stadium. You never see anything until you're out taking BP. Here they walk through the stadium. They get off in right field and walk through, come out onto the field, and it's a little different scene. He said, I like that part of it. It kind of gets you going. He said, you know, you grow up watching so many baseball movies, and this is what it looked like. So I get a charge out of that. He said the other thing for me is, you know, growing up as a baseball fan, growing up in Jacksonville, I wanted to watch anything. What options did I have? Well, during the day, it was WGN to watch a Cubs game. And then at night, it was TBS to watch a Braves game. That's how I got my baseball fix. So, yeah, I do appreciate playing here. He's also hit well here, so that helps, guys.
Yeah, usually a couple of home runs every time he comes in. Of course, the flip side of that for the players is that, you know, this ballpark simply doesn't have a lot of the amenities that Major League Baseball players are used to, whether it's the clubhouses or the access to batting cages.
There's not any distractions, even for the fan. You come here to watch a baseball game, not to go ride the merry-go-round. That's only when the bases are loaded and 2 outs, full count.
I was just thinking about all the distractions here at Wrigley Field. 3-2 to Castro, who struck out his first time, and he hits it out to right. And Granderson's right there. 2 out. I mean, what baseball at Wrigley Field has become over the last couple of decades is a big party.
Yes.
Not only in the ballpark, but outside the ballpark, where there are
tons
taverns and other establishments surrounding Wrigley Field. And especially in years where the Cubs, like this year, are not very good, the ballpark itself and the party atmosphere has become a big part of the charm. There's Valbuena, and as they plot renovations to this ballpark, you hope that they're able to maintain that charm.
Well, they're going to have a 4-year project here of just completely reinforcing and the stadium here, doing it all over with steel, girders underneath. They're going to take all the seats up. It's going to be a 4-year project.
So they're gutting the place, basically.
Basically, they're going to build behind the third base dugout, which is the Cub dugout. They're going to build a big batting cage, and that's basically where under the stands is where the clubhouse is.
Right.
And evidently, the clubhouse is going to begin on the far side of outfield side of the dugout. And it's going to run all the way down the left field line, and they're going to have a state-of-the-art clubhouse with all the hydrotherapy rooms and all that. Everything's going to be redone.
We were talking about putting in bullpens out underneath where the bleachers are now. Driven to center field by Valbuena. Dendecker's there, and that retires the side. So Wheeler has allowed just 1 hit and 1 walk over the first 4 innings. Mets have a 1-0 lead going to the 5th. corner here at Wrigley Field.
I got lost today. I came to the ballpark by taxi. They moved the press entrance, folks, over down the left field line by the foul pole. So I walked around the stadium and I couldn't find. I've never walked around the stadium, and I actually had a nice time.
Did you make any stops along the way?
No, I didn't realize they had murals on the walls outside of all the history of the stadium. It was a nice walk around the neighborhood.
Because you know about Harry Carey's diary. Did you hear about this?
No.
That came to light just recently. David Wright's been up twice and walked both times against Jake Arrieta. Mets have had a leadoff hit in each of the first 4 innings. And there's a strike. Apparently they unearthed a diary that Harry kept in 1972. And basically all the diary was a list of which bars he went to on which days and who he went with. And he went to one bar or another in Chicago 288 straight days.
Oh boy, I can believe that.
How do you survive?
Well, I don't know. I know when I ran into him in the pump room that night, he was snookered.
It was probably in the diary. You were probably in the diary. Curtis Granderson is on deck. 2-1 coming to right, and he fouls one off. That one caught the catcher, John Baker. It's all right. He's a Cal guy. He's tough.
Berkeley, the Golden Bears.
The band is on the field.
Yes. That was Elway quarterback in Stanford then. You know, I have friends that went to Stanford because I grew up in the area that were on that team. My brother has a friend. Elway to this day has never gotten over that loss. It's a big game. That's the big game.
The big game.
Cal Stanford's the big game.
Again, the 2-2. And that just missed. Full count to right.
Tell you what, Welke is not a pitcher's umpire.
Well, Arrieta would just like to have an inning where he retires the leadoff batter.
Arrieta needs a pitcher's umpire the way he nibbles. And he's not getting any corners, particularly the outside corner to right-handers from Tim Welke.
He's already walked right twice. And this time he gets the call on the outside corner. Well, that's a little inconsistency there.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, don't do it with bring me up. I've been calling it a ball my first 2 at-bats. And that one might have missed. Oh, that would have came back.
Yeah, but that's not a strike.
So
anyway, so Arrieta retires the leadoff hitter for the first time, his second strikeout. 1 out for Curtis Granderson, who drove in the only run of this game with a first inning sacrifice fly, a bullet to center field, had a base hit to right center his last time.
And there's the shift because Curtis is a dead pull hitter, and boy, they're just leading him off with breaking stuff.
Keep in mind what we said earlier about Arrieta. He hasn't thrown more than 94 pitches in any start this year. Coming back from a bout of shoulder stiffness in spring training. It'll be interesting to see if he gets pushed farther today. 1-1 to Granderson.
Now they've got 8 guys in the bullpen. They're carrying 13 pitchers as well as the Mets. And the Mets, for obvious reasons, are carrying 8 bullpen pitchers because of that horrific 5-game series. By horrific, I mean for a bullpen. I mean, it was wonderful. They went 4 out of 5, but my goodness, of the 57 innings, 24 plus were pitched by the bullpen.
And wonderfully so. They give up 3 earned runs.
They were brilliant.
Yeah. 1-2, and Granderson hits the curveball into center field. So 1 curve too many from Arrieta, and Granderson is 2 for 2.
You're right here, and it's a lazy hanger, and Curtis stays back nicely. There it is right there. Not much break. Beautiful. Nicely done.
And that, I think, is going to get some stirring around going in the Cubs bullpen in a moment. Mets have 7 hits, all singles against Arrieta. Now Chris Young, who's been blanked so far, 0 for 2. That's left 7 runners on base in the first 4 innings.
We've got a nice little crowd here now. Stadium's filled up nice.
Well, the Mets are in town. The red hot Mets are in town.
Tuesday night in the Windy City, and it's not windy.
Not tonight. Wait till tomorrow. Supposed to be rain and thunder and wind and cold.
It rained yesterday. My flight was canceled out of LaGuardia. I had a little commuter out of the Marine terminal. We got on the runway. They brought us back. Had to take the next flight out because they had severe thunderstorms here. 3 hours delayed.
If it makes you feel better, the weather in Philadelphia last night was perfect.
It's all right.
It was beautiful. Like tonight.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Right. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a problem. They say it's supposed to stop before game time, but tomorrow during the day, it's not going to be a nice day for walking around.
That means a little gym, a little workout.
1-1 to Young, and he takes a strike. 1-2. Lucas Duda on deck.
Remember last year how cold it was here?
Was it last year?
It was 11. 2 years?
2011. That was the year.
It was you and I were in the booth. It was freezing.
Yes. We were here in winter clothes. Shivering. There goes Granderson, and it's fouled off. Get a preview of tomorrow's Mets-Cubs matchup here in Chicago, plus up-to-the-minute news as the Rangers get ready to face off against the Kings in the Stanley Cup Finals on Loudmouth, presented by Caesars Atlantic City, tomorrow at 5:30 only on SNY. Well, Arrieta right at that spot, 94 pitches, where he has topped out this year, so he's going to go at least a bit beyond that. Nobody throwing yet in the Cubs bullpen, but there's about to be somebody throwing. Looks like James Russell, the left-hander, is going to get up. 1 out and 1 on, 1-2 to Young. And Chris lays off. 92, that's about the hardest pitch Arrieta's thrown the last couple of innings. And the aforementioned Mr. Russell up in the Cubs bullpen. Second generation big leaguer.
His father threw very hard.
Jeff Russell. Granderson has just 2 steals this year, but he was in motion earlier in the count. Arrieta with the 2-2. Granderson runs and Young hits it out to right. Sherholtz will get over and make the grab, and Granderson heads on back. 2 out. So Young is now 0 for 3. And here's Duda. Lucas had a base hit his first time up tonight, but then in the third, Mets had the bases loaded, nobody out. Young hit it to a fielder's choice. Duda popped up and Flores lined out, and Arrieta was able to get out of big time trouble. Now he's just trying to scrape through this 5th inning. Fastball away, ball 1. Well, game 2 of this series tomorrow night. Daisuke Matsuzaka goes for the Mets. Edwin Jackson for the Cubs. City probables. Thursday night, Jacob deGrom against Travis Wood. Daisuke stepping into the rotation this time around. Rafael Montero sent back to AAA. It was as much a move necessitated by the length of the games the Mets were playing over the weekend as it was Montero's struggles at the big league level. He'll be back.
Yes, he will. A minor setback.
There goes Granderson. The throw by Baker, not in time. And Granderson has the stolen base, his 3rd of the year. So Granderson was bound and determined to steal the base. Ran for the 3rd time.
Well, early in the count too, so that's good for Duda. And That's the second stolen base for the Mets. Dendecker stole a base, 44 for the year now.
That started the night, third in the National League in steals. So another runner in scoring position. And Duda takes the curveball outside, 2-1. Mets have left 7 runners on base in the first 4 innings, 5 of them in scoring position. Mets have 2 stolen bases, 2 sacrifice bunts, a sacrifice fly, 7 hits, 2 walks, and they've scored 1 run.
It's called leaving 7 men on base. They should not have left 7 men on base. At 1 inning, they got robbed.
And Arrieta gets even. Well, he's been playing Houdini all night.
Lucas, with that 1 home run he hit in Philadelphia to left center field, if he can get that, that's all they're doing is dropping that backdoor curveball on him. If he goes to left center field and starts going that way, then guess what? They're going to start coming inside. They're going to have to change the program.
Tonight he's going to jet stream to left center too. Pulls it though, and it's foul. So Arrieta gets to 100 pitches for the first time in quite some time. Well, we bored the scoreboard operator to sleep.
He's fired. I'm sorry, pal. Your supervisor will be calling you shortly.
He fell asleep right in the middle of Missouri. Here's the 2-2. Popped up, foul. The Mets are 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight. And the only hit they had with a runner in scoring position didn't score a run. It was Granderson's hit in the third. Murphy got a bad read, had to stop at third, and wound up getting stranded there. And Duda trying to pick up a run with 2 out of the 5th. Wheeler patiently waiting. And Lucas takes just off the plate, 3-2. It's the 8th 3-ball count of the night for Jake Arrieta, who has to count himself awfully fortunate to be down only 1-0. 8th pitch of the at-bat coming to Duda, and he socks one foul. That'll go out of play. So Arrieta being pushed a little harder than he has been tonight. Needs one more good pitch to get himself out of the inning. Duda, who's driven in a run in 4 straight games, looking to get Granderson home. 3-2. And he walked him. So now the Mets have 2 men on. 3rd walk of the night for Arrieta. And will Rick Renteria let him go any further?
I think with Flores up, he'll let him go.
Yeah, he just told his catcher, John Baker, to go out to the mound. So might be buying time for the right-hander who just got up in the bullpen. They had the lefty up earlier, Russell, and now they've got a right-hander up as well. That's Ryan Schlitter. So they're killing time so that they can get Schlitter enough warm-up pitches to get him in to face Flores.
He might give him one more batter. I'm always partial, although the way I'm partial to the pitcher to let it's his game. But Arrieta, the way he's thrown, really hasn't deserved it.
And here comes Renteria, and he's going to make the pitching change. So he killed as much time as he could to get Schlitter ready. And he's going to take as much more time as he can here. It's his first visit, so he can wait. This is time killing 101.
Yep.
Now to maximize your delay. And now Tim Wilkie coming out to ask for a decision, and there's the call to the bullpen.
That was a
That was a good 90 seconds to 2 minutes that he was able to kill.
That's perfectly legal, above board.
This course for that, I think you can take at your local community college. How to kill time and influence people. Brian Schlitter coming out of the bullpen. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. We'll be right back. Over 4 2/3 innings. He'll exit with 2 men aboard. And Brian Schlitter will try and clean up his mess.
Well, Schlitter made the opening day roster, got sent down, got recalled, and has been outstanding since his recall. ERA below 1.
28-year-old Chicago area native throws a fastball strike to Flores. Flores has hit one ball very softly for a base hit, and one ball very hard. A liner back to the pitcher to take the Mets out of a bases loaded threat in the third. Granderson and Duda aboard with 2 out. Mets have already stranded 7 in the first 4 innings, trying to avoid stranding 2 more. Schlitter bounces one that Baker is fortunate to stop. The Cubs have been getting a lot of production out of their bullpen, but lately too much. This is the 3rd time in the last 4 games that a Cubs starter has failed to go 5. One of the reasons they've got 8 guys in that bullpen. 2 balls and a strike to Flores with Travis d'Arnaud on deck. Two-1 to Wilmer. 2-2.
A little over anxious there, going after a sinker in the dirt. Big difference between 3-1 and 2-2, and that is just being over anxious.
Two on, 2 out, 2-2 to Flores. Struck him out on a pitch in the dirt. Baker makes the toss, and the Mets strand 2 more. 9 left on base over the first 5 innings. Halfway through, still 1-0 New York. Up to the minute news as the Rangers get ready to open up the Stanley Cup Finals against the Kings in LA, plus in-depth analysis of what to expect from the Blue Shirts in the games ahead on SNYRangersblog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network. There's still a bit in mourning here in Chicago. The Blackhawks having fallen in Game 7 in overtime to the Kings, falling short of the finals.
Well, they got Game 6. They went to L.A. and won, so they kind of saved face. They gave a valiant effort. But they got the old the Rangers and the Kings.
Nate Scherholtz leads off the home fifth inning. Mets with a 1-0 lead. Zach Wheeler has been in complete command, but the Mets have been unable to tack on for him despite innumerable opportunities.
Well, you know, you're right. He has been in complete command, but it seems like an eternity. But it's only been 4 innings.
One hit single, 1 walk. Scherholtz has that 1 hit, a 2-out single in the second. And Zach falls behind him 2-0. You wonder when a pitcher's pitching this well and his team is taking so much time at the plate but not being productive, does it sap some life out of him sitting in the dugout between innings?
No, I think when you're pitching a tight game, the challenge is there. I'm in a position not to get lax, I would think, Gare. You know, it's like, I'm sure the equivalent, although more pronounced because the pitcher's involved in every pitch of the game, obviously. Getting up late in the ball game with a 10-0 lead or losing 10-0, you know, as opposed to getting up late in the game with a tie ball game.
Chris Coghlan on deck, then John Baker, 3 left-hand hitters against Wheeler in the 5th. Up the middle, that's a base hit for Scherholtz, who's 2 for 2. Just the second Chicago hit of the night, and they get the leadoff man on for the first time.
It seems like Scherholtz, even as a Giant, always had good games against the Mets.
He had a couple of good years for the Giants, but not putting up those kinds of numbers with the Cubs this year. But having a good night so far. Now Chris Coghlan, who fouled out to right at third base his first time up. The 7th game Coghlan has started since being called up. Well, tonight was a big night for the Zimmermans in Washington. Ryan Zimmerman returned from the disabled list after a thumb injury and played left field. A new experience for him. And Jordan Zimmerman threw 8 scoreless innings, and the Nats continued the Phillies' heartache, 7-0. The Phillies, by the way, are in such disarray after losing those 4 or 5 to the Mets. Larry Bowa went on the radio and ripped them, the players, today, and Ryan Sandberg, their manager, had a closed-door meeting before the game. The runner goes, swung and missed, and Darno easily throws out Scherholtz. Looked like a hit-and-run gone awry, and Scherholtz gunned down for the first out.
It was a hit-and-run, and you got to make contact. That is not how it's done. I don't know how to describe that swing.
Let's see Scherholtz look back.
He looked late. You got to keep running.
Well, he was a dead duck. He's not a base stealer. 4th time he's been caught in 7 tries.
But either way, he slowed down because he was a late looking back. It's a hit and run. You got to look. I mean, swings and misses. You got to see that swing and miss. You don't pull up. So that's a boo-boo.
1-2 to Coghlan. Anyway, so Zimmerman, first game as a left fielder, 2 for 4, drove in a run, caught everything hit his way. You know, for a guy who has been a core player for that franchise for the whole length of his career, he's getting paid a ton of money. He quite readily accepted being moved off his position.
He's a trooper. He signed that long-term contract early. He could have held out for a little more money. Waited.
What's going to be interesting is to see what happens when Bryce Harper comes back, because now they've got Rendon, a fixture at third. You've got Bernard Span in center. You got LaRoche at first. So how do all the pieces fit?
And you've got Worth in right field.
Yeah, Worth, he's not going anywhere. I mean, they're going to sit down Span, swing and a miss, and Coghlan is down on strikes. That's 5 for Wheeler, 2 out of the inning. You're going to sit down Span?
No, he's our leadoff hitter.
You're going to sit down LaRoche, who's probably been their best hitter this year.
Rendon's going to go back to second base. And
you think?
And they're going to have to put him third because as long as LaRoche is there, Zimmerman, I think eventually is going to wind up at first base.
Right. Well, but LaRoche is a free agent after this year.
So there could be a trade.
I mean, it's going to be another probably 6 weeks until Harper comes back, so they don't have to worry about it quite yet. Here's Baker with 2 out.
Nice curve. Best curve he's thrown tonight.
So it's going to be, going to be an interesting for a rookie manager in Matt Williams to see how he handles all of that. Right back to Wheeler. And he makes the underhand toss to get Baker to end the inning. So 5 scoreless for Zach Wheeler. And the Mets will try and get him some more runs. 1-0 Mets after 5. Applied today at facebook.com/SNY. Brian Schlitter, who came on to get the final out of the 5th, stays on for the 6th to face 8, 9, and 1 in the Mets order. d'Arnaud, Wheeler, and Dendecker. Mets got a run in the 1st. A sacrifice fly by Curtis Granderson, and they have had runners in scoring position in every inning since, but have failed to drive anybody in. 9 left on base in the first 5 innings. That's the kind of thing that can come back and haunt you. d'Arnaud 1 for 2. He had a leadoff hit in the 4th inning. Of the 9 the Mets have left on base, 6 have been stranded in scoring position. Bouncing ball for Rizzo, playing wide of the bag. And the toss to Schlitter for the first out. 1 out and nobody on. Wheeler coming up. Let's check in with Kevin.
Well, we've been talking about the lights here at Wrigley Field, and it is better to have the day game here. Let's not make any mistake about that. But we know that they were installed in 1988. But Gary, maybe a lot of people didn't know that they were originally supposed to be installed in 1942. That's right, that long ago. Phil Wrigley had it all ordered up, ready to go. But what happened is after the bombing of Pearl Harbor and World War II, he decided to donate those lights to the Great Lakes Naval Base as part of the war. They took that, they took the generator, some of the parts, and basically donated it to the war effort. And the thing is, back then their intention was not to have night games. Their intention was to have twilight games, or if a day game went a little bit later. He said always the idea was to have the curfew at 8 o'clock, so the kids could get a nice night of sleep. It was just to have them a little bit later in the day. So it took a long time after that, but the initial idea, early 40s. How about that as Wheeler's thrown out?
And then finally in 1988, the Mets played the first official night
Correct.
game here at Wrigley after the Phillies got rained out of the first effort to play one. Opening night, they called it in 1988.
It was kind of a special night, that's for sure. But I prefer Wrigley in the afternoon.
You remember the days that you'd play every game in the daytime here.
Right.
Here's Dendecker, who's 1 for 3. It's important that people know, though, that, I mean, when you first started playing in the 70s, there were plenty of days when there was nobody in this ballpark.
Yes.
This has not always been the show place that it's considered to be now.
Right.
Really, the Harry Carey days and the Cubs' successes in the 80s started to fuel that. 1984, when they came within an eyelash of getting to the World Series.
Well,
I think that was the turning point here.
Well, also the Major League Baseball and the Cub organization do a good job promoting the ballpark. I mean, they've made it into what it is as it should be. This is like a museum. This is a baseball. This in Fenway.
Right.
They're baseball museums, as far as I'm concerned.
Fenway, they've done a great job of renovating it and bringing it more up to date and adding more amenities, and that's what they want to do here. Very much in line with what they've done in Boston. 3-1 to Dendecker.
So little did they know when they built this stadium 100 years ago that it would stand the test of time. The architecture, whoever designed it, you'd never get rid of it. It's here to stay.
Over short and a beautiful grab by Castro to end the inning. Timed his leap perfectly, and he had to. Caught it right at the apex of his leap. Splendid play by Starlin Castro to rob Dendecker of a base hit. And that's how the top of the 6th comes to an end. Castro likes it. Hits all time at Wrigley Field. That's as a Met, I assume.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you had more than anybody. All those years playing with the Cardinals.
I killed the Cubs too. I just wore it out here.
Now remember that for many years until 1994, the Mets and Cubs were in the same division. So they'd play 18 times a year. You'd make 3 trips a year to Wrigley Field.
Miss those days?
When they went to the 3 divisions in That's when the Mets were separated from the Cubs. Darwin Barney is the pinch hitter against Zach Wheeler. Barney batting for the pitcher Schlitter. Barney has lost his everyday job. He was the Gold Glove winner at second base 2 years ago, but his offense has just gone backwards.
Well, last year hit 208, 500 at bats, 501 at bats to be exact. They thought they really had something. Back in 2011, had his best year, 143 games. He hit 276 with the glove, but from that point on, all downhill.
1-2 from Wheeler, taken high. Well, he's hitting just 179 this year. It'll be Barney, then Emilio Bonifacio and Junior Lake for the Cubs in the home sixth. Cubs have had just 2 singles against Wheeler. Both belong to Sherholtz. Barney hits one right at Murphy. Nice easy one hopper for the first out. Let's check in with the studio. Steve Gelbs is standing by for a game break brought to you by your local Tri-Honda dealers. In fact, since July 20th of last year, the Phillies are now 25 games under 500. Only the Astros have a worse record since then. James Russell, the lefty, is up again in the Cubs bullpen. Here's Bonifacio, who's grounded out and walked 0 for 1. And Wheeler pops him inside. So continuing the trend that he started in Philadelphia, Wheeler really aggressive inside against the left-hand batter.
I like the fact that he pounds inside and gets them dancing a little bit.
And he comes back with a slider, and it's 1-1. By the way, with the Mets leading 1-0 in the 6th inning, I don't know if this is the right time to drop this in, but in all the years the Mets have been coming to Wrigley Field since 1962, they've only had one 1-0 win in this park.
Really?
Murphy throws out Bonifacio 2-0. It came in 1968, the year of the pitcher. Jim McAndrew got the win. Cal Kuntz the save. Ferguson Jenkins took the loss. Mets 1, Cubs 0. September 11th, 1968.
Wow.
I mean, that's amazing, right? I mean, how many hundreds? It has to be close to 400 games that the Mets have played here. They've only had one 1-0 win.
Cal Kuntz pitched for the Angels, pitched for the Cubs.
He was part of the Mets World Championship team in '69. So was Jim McAndrew. Here's Junior Lake trying to bunt his way on with Wright playing deep at third. That's not a great play with 2 out and nobody on.
Well, you got Rizzo on deck. 10 home runs. Not bad. Not a bad idea. Get one in the air. It's all of a sudden, boom, it's 2-1.
Well, Lake can hit a home run too. He's got 6 this year. Might be easier for a right-hand batter tonight, although the wind is almost completely stopped. It was blowing harder from right to left earlier in the game.
Yeah, the flags are kind of limp now. There they are.
And they have so many flags.
Look at all those people in those 2 buildings back there. All those people live in there, folks. Think about it. Get to watch a ball game.
Do you think they can see the game from the high rise back there?
I think if you have, well, the big high rise would be tough. The ones closer, you can get a little telescope.
I don't know.
It's a long way away.
Maybe catch a glimpse of grass. Well, they're keeping that slider away from Lake, and it's 2-2.
Well, we're getting the first hand look at why the Cubs are 14th in the National League in hitting. I mean, a lot of it's Wheeler, but 231 as a team coming in.
They've already been shut out 8 times this year. 2-2 coming to Lake, and he got him with a high fastball. Strikeout number 6 for Zach Wheeler, and he retires the side in order in the bottom of the 6th. On we go to the 7th, still 1-0 New York. Philadelphia in his last start, over 6 1/3, maybe even more so tonight, although not as many strikeouts. So the Cubs without a run, just 2 singles over the first 6 innings. Mets up 1-0. James Russell takes over the pitching for the Cubs in the 7th.
Well, Russell's fourth full season with the Cubbies came up in 2010. He has been their left-hander out of that pen for a long time.
Daniel Murphy leads off in the top of the 7th, hits the first pitch foul. Cubs have 2 lefties in their bullpen, Russell and the inaptly named Wesley Wright, a left-hander.
Wesley Wright was with the Astros for a while.
Right you are.
Oh. Ooh, feisty.
It was a long weekend.
Oh,
sorry you missed the last few days.
I was really feeling for you.
I mean, ultimately we had a great time, but we spent a lot of time in the ballpark. Murphy fouls it off, 1-2. Murphy 2 for 6 in his career against Russell. 1 for 3 in the game tonight. Wright and Granderson to follow. And a late swing foul, and that one went into the Cubs dugout. Just found the opening there, and I think everybody got out of the way. Mike Olt comes up with the ball. These days, I guess guys don't have to be quite as alert in the dugout as they did before they put those fences up. But there still are openings. Rolled over to the right side. Rizzo makes the play. Murphy retired, 1 out. The Cubs bullpen has been perfect so far. 5 up and 5 down. Brian Schlitter got the Mets in order in the 6th. First time they have been retired in order tonight. Mets left 9 runners on in the first 5 innings. David Wright has walked twice and taken a call 3rd strike. All of that against the starter Jake Arrieta, who survived 4 2/3 innings, allowing 3 walks, 7 hits, but only 1 run. Seemed like an oft-told tale. Wright is 3 for 7 against Russell. And as always, Wright at the top of the league against left-hand pitching overall. David comes into the day hitting .456 against lefties, the top mark in the league. Curtis Granderson on deck. Russell's 2-0, and David fouls it off. Get to Citi Field Friday, June 13th for Free Shirt Friday when the Mets take on the Padres at 7:10. All fans in attendance will receive a Mets t-shirt courtesy of Premio. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Free Shirt Fridays. Now, I haven't seen the next free shirt, but since it's Friday the 13th, you think there'll be a little Triskaidekaphobia theme?
Oh, Friday the 13th?
I mean, I think it's our first Friday the 13th Free Shirt Friday. So I wonder whether the designers took that into account. Tim Tuffle does a little Tuffle shuffle to get out of the way.
Tuffle shuffle. It's like the polka.
Roll out the barrel. Polka's big in this part of the world.
Yes.
2-2 from Russell. And David watches wide. Full count. Well, David's 4 at bats. He's gone 3-1 and walked, 3-2 and walked, 3-2 and struck out, and now he's 3-2 again. 25th pitch he'll see tonight. And he drives this one to right field, but Scherholtz has it lined up. 2 out. So 2 up and 2 set aside by Russell in the 7th. And now Curtis Granderson, who's had a good night, sacrifice fly in the first to drive in the game's only run, and then he's had a couple of singles since and a stolen base. So after going 3 for his previous 33, he's 2 for 2 tonight. Mets 1 run and 7 hits. The Cubs no runs and 2 hits. And Granderson takes a strike. He doesn't see many first pitch fastballs, does he?
He gets a lot of the breaking stuff.
And he drives this one into left center. That'll fall for his third hit of the night. So Granderson is 3 for 3. And he's used the middle of the field tonight. Right center, dead center, left center.
Well, good home cooking for Curtis.
Sweet home Chicago. Well, Henry Mejia getting some stretching in, or maybe just dozing.
No, he's.
I'm kidding.
I have never seen that before.
But
I have not ever seen that.
Again, we talk about how there are not the same amenities here that you have in most ballparks. Well, there's no bullpen. There's just that bench along the sidewall and the bullpen mounds on the field of play in foul territory. So not as much room for guys to stretch and do the band work and all the things that they normally do to get ready to warm up. So Henry's improvising, as are they all. Chris Young is 0 for 3 tonight. And takes a fastball strike. Eleven hits in his last 79 at bats, and that's dropped Chris's batting average back below 200. Snap throw, and Granderson, who has a stolen base already tonight, gets back. Change up for a strike. 0-2. Well, he's right where he was in Oakland last year at this time, and the Mets were hoping that that year was an aberration. So far, it has not been. Here's the 0-2, and he watches just outside. Another changeup, 1-2. Neil Ramirez, rookie right-hander, gets up in the Cubs bullpen. He's been good for them. That whole bullpen's been good. Last 18 games, 1.84 ERA for the Cubs pen. It's been their greatest asset. Here's the 1-2. Fouled away. The Cubs have played a ton of 1- and 2-run games and have really struggled in those close games. They are 5-19 in games decided by 1 or 2 runs.
Those are usually second division team numbers.
The Mets have been a little better. They're 14-17 in 1- and 2-run games. But 5-19, that's tough. That's all the games they're below 500 for the year. 14 under. Right? Means that games decided by 3 or more, the Cubs are a 500 team. They win their share, they lose their share, but they seem to lose all the close ones.
Bad teams lose the close ones.
Again, the 1-2 on the outside corner, got him looking at the changeup. Mets are now 2 for 14 with men on base tonight. They've left 10 aboard. 7th inning stretch, still 1-0. chili lime, chili garlic, and chipotle. By State Farm. Tonight's State Farm agent of the day is Alan Wheeler of Brooklyn. Contact Alan's office at alanwheeler.net. And by Budweiser, great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. Zach Wheeler carrying a shutout into the bottom of the 7th. Anthony Rizzo swings over a curveball. Rizzo's been up twice and struck out both times. Looking in the first, swinging in the 4th. 2 of 6 strikeouts for Wheeler tonight. He's allowed just 2 singles and 1 walk. Faced only 2 over the minimum through the first 6. And Rizzo takes one down. 1-1. Mets will get the bullpen cranking. Josh Edgin will begin to throw. Looks like Vic Block might join him in a moment. Or maybe Familia.
Familia is the choice.
Yep. 1-1 to Rizzo with Starlin Castro on deck. And that one sails high. 2-1. Wheeler in his last outing threw 108 pitches in Philly. His previous outing he threw 118, a season high. At 92 here in the 7th. And Rizzo takes it just off the plate, a changeup. 3-1. Dangerous spot for Wheeler against the biggest power hitting threat in the Cubs lineup. And he rips one foul. Got out ahead of that one. Three and 2 to Rizzo leading off the 7th, and he got him with a fastball. So he threw him 2 changeups, and then he comes back with the heat to strike him out for the 3rd time.
Fastball away, running. Threw it by him. No rotation in the hips at all. That outside pitch from Rizzo, that's a blind spot for him. That is a weakness to exploit.
And so he did.
Sombrero.
1 out and nobody on. Now Castro, who struck out and flied out 0 for 2. The only 2 hits in this game belong to Nate Shearholtz. Pair of singles, 1 in the 2nd, 1 in the 5th. He was caught stealing in the 5th. And that's all the Cubs have managed against Wheeler. And just as impressive, the fact that after walking nobody against the Phillies, he's walked only 1 tonight. Castro fouls it away. 1-1. Castro swings a big cut at a fastball. 1-2.
Big swing, but a big uppercut. And guess what? Uppercuts can't handle up and in. Blew a bubble during his swing.
Multitasking.
Gee, it's tough enough.
7 home runs this year for Castro. And he takes it high. 2-2. Luis Valbuena, left-hand batter, waiting on deck. Wheeler about to throw his 100th pitch of the night. 2-2 to Castro. Slow ground ball for Flores. 2 out. 7 in a row retired by Wheeler. Drive Around the Majors brought to you by Honda. Jordan Zimmerman, 8 scoreless innings. Ryan Zimmerman plays left field, drives in a run. Nats beat the Phillies 7-0. Henderson Alvarez thought he might not be able to make this start. He did, through a complete game 8 hitter. Miami shut out Tampa Bay 1-0. 8 straight losses for the Rays. And the Reds get 6 strong innings from Homer Bailey. The Giants help out with 4 errors. Cincinnati wins 8-3 over San Francisco.
That was Lincecum, I believe, who started for the Giants, and the Giants uncharacteristically making 4 errors. They're a solid fundamental team.
Luis Valbuena takes a fastball strike. Valbuena up twice, flied out both times. bullpen in, and he couldn't hold up, and it's 0-2. El Ramirez up again in the Chicago bullpen.
Well, it looks like Wheeler now is tying up these Cub hitters with his fastball. I like the way he's finishing strong with the gas.
0-2. Late swing foul. Well, if he can quickly dispose of Valbuena, does he get the 8th inning?
Well, I'm always for pushing the pitchers, Gary. You're asking the wrong guy.
All right, who should I ask?
That guy.
Well, he's got all the answers. We just don't have direct communication right now. 1-2 to Valbuena. Of course, if he doesn't get Valbuena, he could be out right here, since Scherholtz has had the 2 hits against him, and he got the lefty ready in the bullpen. Edgin, who's been pitching wonderfully, is ready to go. Wheeler has struck out 7. Just missed. 2-2.
Remember earlier in the year, the left-handers were giving Wheeler trouble. He's really come a long way. That little backdoor slider of his, Gary, and that fastball he pops inside, very effective.
Hasn't had the great curveball today that he had in the game in Philadelphia, but he hasn't really needed it. Now the 2-2. Up and away and a full count to Valbuena after he got ahead of him 0-2. Zach has walked 1. He struck out 7, giving up those 2 hits to Scherholtz and nothing else.
It's always good to watch a pitcher pitching in a 1-0 ball game. See how they respond.
Valbuena takes just outside. The backdoor slider missed. And that's the second walk Wheeler's given up tonight. So after retiring 7 in a row, a 2-out walk to Valbuena, and here comes Terry Collins, and he's going to bring the lefty into the game. Well, Wheeler had a chance to get through 7, but he lost Valbuena after getting ahead of him 0-2, and Josh Edgin will come in to try and finish up this inning. Job well done by Wheeler. After 107 pitches, he'll leave with a 1-0 lead, and Edgin will come in to face Scherholtz. 1-0 New York. We'll be right back. Coming back from Las Vegas.
Well, in Sunday's game in Philadelphia, the 10th inning, he struck out all 3 left-handers, struck out the side. He is also his first batters faced since his being called up. He's 9 of 9.
And his first pitch slider fouled off by Scherholz, who's 2 for 2 tonight. Lefties are just 1 for 15 against Edgen. I mean, he's back to where he was a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Those are the numbers on Wheeler, who was terrific again tonight.
And the book's not closed, but if Josh gets this guy, it'll be another brilliant outing out of Mr. Wheeler.
The book is barely ajar. Did you say ajar with a book, or is that just a door?
No, you can't say ajar in a book.
Don't think on it too hard. Let's say the page is dog-eared, waiting for it to be closed.
Very crouched, Scherholz.
Grounded foul. Down to Eric Hinsky.
Hitting .250 on the year against left-handers and 36 at bats. Only 1 extra base hit, double.
Kansas City came from behind, a run in the 8th, a run in the 9th. Eric Hosmer, an RBI hit, and they beat the Cardinals 8-7. The Battle of Missouri. After the Royals shut out the Cardinals yesterday. Struck him out with a slider. 3 pitches, and Edgen takes care of Scherholz to end the inning. So Edgen finishing up with Wheeler starting to the 7th. 1-0 Mets going to the 8th. Your Mets box score presented by Chrysler. Curtis Granderson, 3 hits and an RBI on the sacrifice fly in the first. Mets have had tons of opportunities tonight, but they've left 10 runners on base in the first 7 innings, and thus just a 1-0 lead. Lucas Duda will lead off for the Mets in the 8th. Let's check in with Kevin.
Well, Josh Edgen certainly has been great since being called up, and he looks like the guy that we saw a couple years ago, Gary. Although he disputed the velocity being up. He said, "Is it up a tick?" Maybe. He said, "But there's a couple things. Better posture." He said that's what they worked on with Ron Romanek down in AAA. He said, "What does that do?" A little bit better arm angle, but he said, "I think for me, really, I was trying to be too fine. I really got out of that, and then I just started throwing the baseball." Dan Warthen also noticed when they watched video, he moved to the third base side. They decided to put him on the first base side. Felt it gave him better angles. But Edgin basically felt that, yeah, too fine. Just started to throw the ball, and with that, better break on his slider. He used an analogy. You know, Josh can be a little goofy. So here's the analogy. You ready, guys? He said, Kev, it's kind of like you when you first started in TV. At first, maybe you get a little nervous, use a little bit too much makeup, and then all of a sudden say, you know what? I'm going to go natural, and you're comfortable. That's how I feel right now. Good analogy, Josh, I suppose. Back to you, Garrett.
Hey, whatever works for you. I will say this. His velocity is different. I mean, when we saw him in spring training this year, he was in the upper 80s, and he is back to that, 93, 94 guy that he was a couple of years ago.
Well, the slider that he threw sure holes to strike him out, that's what I see in this big game. He's always been a straight fastball guy. He lost his slider, and now he's got the slider back. I think Black up in the bullpen. And that he's throwing a harder slider. So it's interesting, the progress, the ups and downs of young players.
And he was also a guy for whom success came very quickly. I mean, he was a 30th round draft pick who was in the big leagues like that. And sometimes you have to be humble a little bit before you can come back and be successful. And I think that, in Josh's case, I think that the way he's responded to going from being the flavor of the month a couple of years ago to being the first cut in spring training this year has been very admirable. He's come back better than ever. Duda fouls it off. Wilmer Flores, Travis d'Arnaud to follow here in the 8th as the Mets look to add on to what's been a 1-0 lead since the top of the first inning. Long at bat here for Duda, who has singled and walked tonight, 1 for 2. Russell working his second inning. He's a rubber arm.
This might be his last batter here. We've got the right-handers coming up.
2-2 to Duda, and he cracks one into the shift, playing very deep. Bonifacio able to throw him out. I don't think you'll ever see a second baseman field a ground ball any deeper than that.
Well, here comes the skipper, and he pulls it, and that's the thing. If Lucas can hit the home run in the opposite field, if he can start using that left center field, then they can't do that to him.
So the Cubs will make a pitching change. Russell happy for the shift. Neil Ramirez comes off for the Cubs. Mets still up 1-0 in the 8th. All right, Steve, here's Wilmer Flores to face the new Chicago pitcher Neil Ramirez. Flores 1 for 3 tonight. And takes a fastball strike.
Well, Ramirez, 24 years of age, is a rookie. Been a starter his entire minor league career. When Hector Rondon went away this weekend for paternity leave, he took over the closer role.
Pulled foul by Flores. Well, Neil Ramirez has a little bit of symmetry with David Wright.
Yes, he does.
Neil Ramirez grew up in the same part of the world as David Wright in Virginia Beach, and before he signed with the Cubs, he committed to Georgia Tech, just like David did before he signed with the Mets. Couple of smart kids. On the outside corner, and Flores is caught looking. 2 down.
Straight fastball outside corner, knees. Beautifully framed by Baker.
So 2 out and nobody on now. Darno, who's 1 for 3 on the night. Just to recap, the Mets scored a run in the first. They got the first 2 men on in the second and didn't score. They loaded the bases with nobody out in the third and didn't score. Got the leadoff man on in the fourth and didn't score. Got 2 men on in the fifth and didn't score. They're not going to score here in the 8th either, but maybe they will.
Oh boy, oh boy.
Rizzo and Baker looked at each other for a while, and Rizzo should have had that in his pocket.
Yep.
And did not. It's an error charged to Rizzo, prolonging the time at bat.
You got to use the vocal cords. Baker late to pull back, but you got to scream at the top of your lungs so this doesn't happen, which is you can't dig a hole deep enough.
So let's see if Darno can take advantage of the extra life. Ball and a strike to Travis. Bobby Abreu's come out on deck to pinch hit if Darno can keep the inning going. Vic Black is getting ready in the Mets bullpen. Slider off the plate, 2-1.
Well, I can see why this kid's had some success here. And there's Vic Black.
Three and one now to Darno. Ramirez looking a little annoyed. On 3-1, Darno swings and fouls it back over the roof. Bray would be next.
Oh.
2 out and nobody on. 3-2 to Darno. And Travis lifts one to shallow center. Junior Lake comes over, and that retires the side. So Ramirez comes in and works around the error by Rizzo. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Vic Black coming on. Cute.
Is that a long-haired Chihuahua?
Don't want to guess. Josh Edgins stays in to face the left-hand batting Chris Coghlan. Thought for sure that Rick Renteria would set up a right-hand batter, and then the Mets would respond with Vic Black.
I agree.
Renteria chooses to stay with Coghlan against Edgin, who came in to strike out Sherholtz to end the 7th. And a slider in for a strike, 1-1. Coghlan has fouled out to third and struck out. He's 5 for 38 on the season. They've got Mike Olt on the bench, a big right-hand hitter who was one of their better power hitters, although not much of an average hitter. But they will save him. There's a slider for a strike. He had Coghlan bailing out, and it's 1-2.
This is the big improvement with Edgin right here. His breaking ball. Boy, that has made big strides, leaps and bounds.
Now the 1-2, and Coghlan takes it wide. John Baker, another left-hand hitter on deck, and then the pitcher spot for the Cubs in the 8th. By the way, Zach Wheeler tonight, 6 2/3 scoreless innings after 6 1/3 terrific innings against the Phillies. And into center field, hit well, chasing Dendecker back to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Chris Coghlan ties the game with his first home run of the season. He hits it off a left-hander, and we are tied at 1. So Rick Renteria opting for Coghlan against the left-hander, and Coghlan shocks everybody in the building with his first home run of the year.
Belt-high fastball out over the plate. And the wind is blowing, even though the flags had kind of died. It's still a little bit of a breeze out to left field. Can't live on the outside corner.
For Chris Coghlan, that's the first home run he's hit off a left-hand pitcher since 2010, 4 years ago. And he hits one off Josh Edgin to tie the game. 0-2 to Baker. Well, that was a bolt from the blue. And all of a sudden, Zach Wheeler can't be a winning pitcher tonight. All those opportunities the Mets bypassed early in the game have come back to haunt them. Edgin strikes out Baker on 3 pitches for the first out. The last home run Coghlan hit off a lefty, May 14th of 2010 against the Mets. He hit it off Oliver Perez. Wow. And now more than 4 years later, he hits one off Josh Edgin to tie up the ball game. So Edgin will be ruining that for a while. Vic Black will come out of the bullpen after Justin Ruggiano was announced as a pinch hitter. 1-1 game in the bottom of the 8th. We'll be right back to Wrigley Field. game.
Well, Vic has been spotless since coming back. There's his numbers. The walks are a concern.
Justin Ruggiano, the pinch hitter. Well, this Cubs team is filled with former Marlins. We've seen Coghlan and Baker and Bonifacio and now Ruggiano, who did a nice job for Miami for a couple of years in center field until their young outfielders came in and made him expendable. Ball and a strike to Ruggiano. Well, that's about as stunning a home run as we've seen in a while. Chris Coghlan going deep against Josh Edgin to get the Cubs even. Scott Rice getting ready in the Mets bullpen. And Ruggiano takes a fastball strike, 1-2. So Edgin faced 3 batters, struck out 2 of the 3, and gave up the home run. So Wheeler, who has pitched so well, has another great start. Go by the boards without a win. I was going to say about Wheeler right before that home run happened, you know, going into his start in Philly last week, the lefties were hitting .329 against him this year. In these last 2 starts, lefties are 4 for 29, a .138 average.
It's because that backdoor little slider he's popping on him, and he's throwing that fastball inside.
And it's really made a difference for him. Hector Rondon, the Cubs closer, up in the bullpen. 1-2 to Ruggiano. It's too high.
Well, Vic Black's numbers in AAA, he had outstanding earned run average, below 2. But in the 18 innings, had 17 walks. Now here he's repeating. He's got 4 walks in 5 innings pitched.
And he gets him on the curveball in the dirt. And Ruggiano won't even bother running to first. Abandons the effort. That's the second out. Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. We asked which Mets player has the most hits all time at Wrigley Field. And it's the guy who spent the longest as a Met.
Makes sense.
And Crane Poole, of course, played his entire career when the Mets and Cubs were in the same division. So played tons of games here, including the game that clinched the National League East for the Mets in 1973, the day after the season was scheduled to end.
In the fog.
On a Monday afternoon makeup game.
I remember Haywood Hailbroom covered it for, was it CBS he worked for?
Yeah, CBS.
Yeah, and I remember I was in California and was watching the news because he didn't have the Mets on TV like we watch today. And that was on the International Nightly News.
Out to left, moving over is Young. He'll have to play it on the hop, and Bonifacio has a 2-out hit. So Emilio Bonifacio, who can steal a base, is aboard as the lead run with 2 out of the 8th.
Takes the fastball the other way, inside outs, which is what Bonifacio does. He's a leadoff hitter, line drive hitter. Got to watch him stealing a base. He's got 12 stolen bases this year.
Junior Lake will be the batter. Lake is 0 for 3, hit a comebacker, fly to right, and struck out. Black will keep a close tether if he can on Bonifacio. Cubs have tried to steal 1 base tonight. That was a blown hit and run play. Sherholtz was thrown out. Cubs are not a big base stealing team. Bonifacio has 12. The rest of their club has just 14. Lake takes it in the dirt, and a delayed steal by Bonifacio, and he's safe at second.
And it was a beautifully executed delayed steal.
He was not running with the pitch, but he was running before the ball hit the dirt. And it will be a stolen base credited to Bonifacio.
Watch the way you do the kind of. Oh, actually, I wonder if he just got a break on the wild pitch. But it looked to me, I was watching off the monitor, that it was a delayed steal.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he just happened to be on a pitch in the dirt. Anyway, his 13th steal, now the go-ahead run in scoring position with 2 out. A 1-0 count to Lake. And a curveball for a strike, 1-1. Mets lose this game, there's going to be so much for them to rue.
Yes.
All the opportunities they let go by the boards against Arrieta early in the game. The home run by Coghlan against Edgin.
Well, it should be 2-1 right now. Murphy should have scored way back in that bases loaded inning, and that was in the third.
Right, that was with nobody out.
Nobody out, and the line drive off the bat of Granderson, and he should have scored. There was no way anybody was going to catch that ball, but he was unsure and didn't score, and those runners were left stranded.
This is the Cubs' first at bat with a runner in scoring position tonight, just to give you an idea of the difference between the opportunities that have been presented to these two teams. Black ahead 1-2. Half swing. Did he go? Nope. Todd Tichenor, the umpire at first.
Boy, he didn't have a chance at that pitch. It was a strike.
Black's curveball has been a great equalizer for him.
He's got a great curveball. He reminds me a lot of Neil Allen. I was going to say Neil Young. Geez, where's my head?
Maybe with the Cinnamon Girl.
Maybe in the eye of the hurricane.
You of all people should remember Neil Allen. You were traded for him.
I understand.
Cubs have had just 4 hits all night, but 2 of them have come here in the 8th. Coghlan's home run against Edgin. Bonifacio with a base hit against Black. 2-2 now to Junior Lake with Anthony Rizzo on deck. And the curveball sits high, 3-2. Well, first base is open, but this is the last situation in the world where you want to issue a walk. You've got the best hitter on the ball club standing on deck, although it's been a rough night for Rizzo so far. 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. 3-2 now to Lake. He struck him out with a curveball. Second strikeout of the inning for Black, and that gets the Mets to the 9th in a tie game. Tied up on an unlikely home run. Chris Coghlan goes deep against a lefty for the first time in 4 years, and it's 1-1 going to the 9th. Hector Rondon, the Cubs closer, will come into a tie game in the 9th.
Well, they haven't won very many games, but he hasn't been his fault. He's been successful on 6 and 7 of his save attempts.
Just back from paternity leave. He had a son born on Friday. Bobby Abreu pinch hitting and takes high from Rondon. Rondon, who was picked up a couple of years ago in the Rule 5 draft from Cleveland. Henry Mejia hoping there will be a save chance in the bottom of the ninth, just throwing lightly. And Abreu takes one inside. 2-0. Bobby has swung the bat so well for the Mets. 10 hits in his last 19 at bats, so he has been red hot. Didn't start tonight because Terry Collins is wary about overusing him, but I'm sure he'll be in the lineup again tomorrow. 2-0 from Rondon, and there's a call strike. Rondon took over as the closer early this year. Jose Veras was the closer at the start of the season. Took about 2 weeks into the year for him to lose that job, and Veras today was designated for assignment with Rondon's return from paternity leave. 2-1 to Abreu, and he takes it high. Bobby's not going to swing at a pitch out of the strike zone. You know the kind of discipline he has. Matt Den Decker on deck, and then Daniel Murphy. Left-hand hitters all here in the ninth. Three-1 coming, and he fouls it away. Abreu at Wrigley Field for his career, a .349 hitter, .429 on base percentage, .714 slugging percentage. He has had great numbers here.
This is a great ballpark for a line drive hitter, because when the wind blows in, the line drive hitters get more discipline, hit line drives, more focused. The wind blows out, you can get under it and it goes out.
Yeah, those line drives sometimes sail into the basket up in the gaps. Cubs had to go to their bullpen early. Jake Arrieta got knocked out in the 5th inning. But Brian Schlitter gave them an inning and a third. James Russell an inning and a third. Neil Ramirez 2/3. Only one hit against the Cubs bullpen. Toward the middle of the diamond, Castro playing that way does the spinorama and throws out Abreu. One away.
Excellent call, Gare. I never heard it called that before. A spinorama. Very nice.
It's a hockey term.
I like that. Nice play. Makes it look easy.
So Castro throws out Abreu for the first out, and now Matt Den Decker, who was robbed by Castro in even more severe fashion his last time up, and a rising line drop to short, and Castro elevated beautifully to take a base hit away. Den Decker 1 for 4 on the night and takes inside.
Wow. Whoa. Tell you this, pretty much straight up on the infield, in the corner at third, but a little bit of a opposite field shade in the outfield for Den Decker.
That's got power. Hit 1 home run last year during his late call-up in 58 at bats.
Tim Welke just continues to be really a tight strike zone. Say one thing, he's been consistent.
Daniel Murphy waits on deck. If anybody gets on in this inning, David Wright will get a turn. 2-1. Den Decker takes inside.
Wow.
So for the second straight batter, Rendon falls behind. 3-1.
Where's the pitch?
Inside.
Well,
now Rondon throws the 3-1, and Den Decker lines one the other way for a base hit. So Den Decker has his second hit of the night, and the Mets have the go-ahead run aboard with 1 out.
should have been his third hit. He hit that bullet his last at bat in the 6th inning, right at the shortstop. Nice game for Den Decker. Hit the ball hard.
Well, Den Decker stole a base back in the 1st inning. Be tremendous if he could steal a base here in the 9th inning. Mets have 9 hits tonight, all singles. The only extra base hit in this game was Coughlin's home run that tied it at the bottom of the 8th. Now the Mets hoping to regain the lead in the 9th. Murphy is 1 for 4, had an infield single back in the 3rd. And Rondon will keep a close tether on Dendecker. Murphy grounds a double play ball. Bonifacio that flip, and Castro turns it over. 4-6-3 to end the inning. Rondon gets the double play. We head to the bottom of the 9th. Mets and Cubs tied at 1. All right, gentlemen, we go to the bottom of the 9th. Scott Rice comes in to face the big bat in the Cubs batting order.
Well, you see tough on left-handers, .216 batting average, tied for 3rd in the National League with now 30 games, 30 appearances. Basically a left-hand specialist.
Anthony Rizzo leads off the home 9th and takes a fastball strike. Rizzo had 3 at-bats against Zach Wheeler and struck out all 3. 3 of the 7 strikeouts Wheeler rang up in his 6 2/3 scoreless innings. Josh Edgen gave up the tying home run in the 8th. Vic Black got a couple of outs, and now it's on Rice to try and push this game to extra innings. Rizzo, Castro, and Valbuena, the 3 scheduled hitters, left, right, left for the Cubs in the bottom of the 9th. Rizzo bounces one foul, and quickly it's 0-2. It's worth pointing out, as we have the specter of extra innings hanging over, that both these teams are playing short on the bench. Each team has only 4 reserves, and each team is carrying 8 relief pitchers.
And let's not forget, they've only got both sides 1 catcher, so really Mike Olt is the only guy that can be used. Terry has Campbell and Tejada.
Rizzo punches one into center field for a base hit. So on an 0-2 pitch, Rice trying to throw that splitter in on Rizzo, and he Gets it into center for a hit.
Well, this is supposed to be away, and it's inside, down. Good 2-strike hitting.
So the winning run aboard with nobody out. Castro, the batter, you certainly wouldn't expect him to bunt, although with a left-hand hitter on deck and Rice on the mound, even less so.
Oh, he's a cleanup hitter, too.
Castro 0 for 3 tonight. Struck out, flied out, grounded out.
And David Wright hugging that line, guarding the line.
Rizzo, not much speed at first base. And Castro takes it wide. Jeurys Familia getting himself ready in the Mets bullpen.
Well, here's the thing with Rice, with the sinker ball, you can get ahead of him.
Coming up tonight, Geico Sports Night after the post game. Chris Carlin of all the Rangers news, and he'll do the New York versus Chicago pizza test.
Oh, the deep dish and the thin.
Got to try them both. Love them both. Fouled away. 2-1. Well, Familia's up in the bullpen, but you got all left-hand hitters coming up after Castro. So unless they were to go to Holt as a pinch hitter, it's hard to imagine Rice coming out of this inning. Valbuena, Sherholtz, Coghlan, all left-hand hitters behind Castro. One to one, bottom of the ninth. And Castro goes after the sinker. 2-2.
Takes the first 2 pitches and then does this. Just such undiscipline. I mean, we've all swung at bad pitches, but
well, the other piece on Castro is he's grounded into 9 double plays this year, second in the National League, and he's facing a sinker ball pitcher. Two from Rice. This is with that one. Full count.
I don't believe they'll send Rizzo here.
Well, if they do and Castro strikes out, it's pretty much automatic double play.
You could always, wouldn't the Cubs have to lose? They're in last place. They're going nowhere. Doesn't look like he's running.
Not going. And Castro grounds one to third. Might be 2, but it's bobbled by Wright, and he has to settle for first. Gets it out there. The Mets' failure to turn double plays has been endemic. And that time, a hard 2-hopper to third. You figure it's a 5-4-3, but no.
Well, it was a long hop, too. David played the long hop, and he got the long hop. He just didn't catch it. He's lucky that came right back in his glove. Mets are lucky.
So now the potential winning run is at second base with 1 out. Luis Valbuena, left-hand batter, coming up. Valbuena 0 for 2 and a walk today. Valbuena hitting .250 against lefties. He's only had 16 at bats against left-handers. Rizzo at second and 1 out. And a slider strike on the inside. For the Mets, if they lose this game, will have so much to look back on, to rue and to shake their heads over.
Well, a lot of men left on base.
Base running. That last bobble, the home run to Coghlan. Oh, and 2. So Rice getting out in front on Valbuena. He's got another left-hand hitter in Sherholtz on deck. And so Familia has stopped throwing, with no specter of a right-hand batter coming up for the Cubs. Now Scott's ahead 0-2. And Valbuena fouls one off his leg.
Got a hanger right there. That is right hanging.
Rizzo at second and 1 out. 0-2 to Valbuena. He struck him out. Rice with a slider gets Valbuena for the second out of the inning.
Big step in the bucket.
And now you have a choice. You got two left-hand hitters, Scherholtz and Coghlan. Both have had good nights. You got first base open. You can face one or you can face the other.
Oh, you go after it. You don't want to walk in. A base hit's going to win the ball game, but you don't want to put another runner on base. You got lefty. Rice is there to get lefties out.
Well, my feeling is that despite the fact Coghlan hit a home run, Scherholtz the better hitter.
Well, Scherholtz hitting .250 against lefties on the year, Garen. 36 at bats. He certainly had more at bats than Coghlan.
Scherholtz 2 for 3 tonight. Had the only 2 hits against Zach Wheeler, a single to left, a single to center. Rizzo at second and 2 out. They'll go after Scherholtz. And a fastball in at the knees for a strike. Pedro Strop up in the bullpen for the Cubs. Cubs use their closer Rondon in the top of the ninth, properly so, in a tie game at home. Here's the 0-1, and Scherholtz pounds it foul, and Rice again ahead 0-2. Well, Rizzo got a hit on an 0-2 pitch. Castro grounded out. Rice got ahead of Valbuena 0-2 and took care of him, and now he's 0-2 on Scherholtz. Now the 0-2. Driven to right field, back toward the corner, and the Cubs are going to win this game. Rizzo in with the winning run. A walk-off hit for Nate Scherholtz in the bottom of the ninth. And the Mets, who came in here red hot, lose a game they absolutely should have won.
Well, 0-2 count to a pitch to waste, and we mentioned earlier Scherholtz when we showed the graphic of how he's killed the Mets over the years, the veteran left-hand hitter, and lost opportunities by the Mets, left the men on base. They were unfortunate in the third inning, Gary, with the bases loaded, not getting the run in. But here's the 0-2 count, and remember, Rizzo led off the inning with a single on an 0-2 count, base hit. So this is a tough loss for the Mets after coming off a high of winning 4 out of 5 in Philly.
Now facing the team with the worst record in baseball. They had opportunity after opportunity early, could put up only 1 run. Zach Wheeler pitched brilliantly. Chris Coghlan hits the home run, his first against a lefty in 4 years. David Wright bobbles a ball and couldn't turn a double play. That left the winning run at second base, and Nate Scherholtz took care of the rest on an 0-2 pitch from Scott Rice. A really dreadful loss for the Mets tonight as they fall in Chicago 2-1.
Well, Rice knows the way goes over. And he's probably saying, 0-2, I had a pitch to waste.
Well, the Cubs only had 6 hits all night. Nate Scherholtz had 3 of them, the only 2 against Wheeler, and the one that ends the game, the walk-off single against Scott Rice.